Chapter 894. All of a sudden, the whole place was in a state of panic. The violent air pressure made many people who were close to Duan Ling Tian take a step back. Bam, 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 bam. A series of explosions rang out as Li Dun attacked every part of Yang Lai's body from every direction. The sky was filled with afterimages, and almost a dozen of them appeared every second. The people at the side and the servants in the distance were all stunned speechless. Just the muffled sound in their ears was enough to make them feel nervous. Yang Jiu said anxiously, "Yang Cheng, hurry up and stop him. If someone dies, it will be a disaster." Yang Cheng smiled. "Who do you want me to help?" "Yang Lai, of course. Li Dun looks like he's going to kill someone." Yang Jiu said. Yang Cheng shook his head. "Then you don't have to help." "Huh? Li Dun is at a disadvantage now. If you want to help him, you should help him," Yang Cheng said. Everyone was confused. From their point of view, Li Dun's afterimages filled the sky and Yang Lai was almost completely buried. How could Yang Cheng say that Yang Lai had the upper hand? Before they could think further, the scene changed. Yang Lai let out a furious roar and suddenly swept towards the sky like a violent wave. Li Dun lost his balance in midair. He used his arms to block Yang Lai's attack, but he was still sent flying by the shockwave. This thunderous explosion of true energy allowed everyone to finally see the situation clearly. Yang Lai was unharmed, but Li Dun's clothes were torn in many places. If it wasn't for Li Dun's Buddhist true qi, he would have spat out blood and collapsed to the ground. Yang Cheng was also surprised. Yang Lai's innate true qi was not very strong, but his body was so strong that he was not afraid of innate true qi. He defeated Li Dun with absolute strength. However, since Yin Buin could clone him, he must have the ability to modify genes. It shouldn't be a problem to make Yang Lai's body as strong as his. Of course, that was only his body when he was at the peak of the innate stage. It was not comparable to his body that had been tempered by the Tai Ching heavenly lightning. If Li Dun could not break through the innate stage and reach the soul-forming stage, he would not be able to do anything to Yang Lai. "How about it? Do you admit defeat?" Yang Lai said scornfully. Li Dun spat out a mouthful of blood. This was a minor internal injury. He grinned and said, "I was careless. Come at me again if you dare. You're courting death." Yang Lai was completely enraged. He was not a man who was good at holding back. Now that he was in the mood to beat Li Dun up, he did not care who his opponent was. He was determined to beat Li Dun into submission. Seeing that Yang Lai was fine, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. But when they saw Yang Lai walking towards Li Dun with a murderous look in his eyes, everyone tensed up again. "Lai, that's enough. Come back," Guo Xuehua said in horror. "Brother Yang, go and stop him. He's going to kill Li Dun." Hui Lin sensed the murderous look and shouted with a pale face. The Yuan couple could no longer hold themselves back. If Li Dun were to die in the Yuan family, no one would be able to take responsibility for this. "Yang Cheng, isn't Li Dun your friend? Go and stop him." The only one who could stop him was Yang Cheng. Everyone was hoping that Yang Cheng would make a move. Yang Cheng said calmly, "Sai, if I go and hurt Yang Lai, wouldn't my mother be sad?" Everyone was stunned and looked at Guo Xuehua expectantly. "Sister-in-law, Yang Lai has lost his mind. Let Yang Cheng do it," Yang Jiu advised. Guo Xuehua stood there and did not know what to do. She did not want Yang Cheng to hurt Yang Lai. But if Yang Lai really killed or injured Li Dun, it would be a huge blow to the Yang family. After all, the Li family was on good terms. If Li Dun was hurt, they would not let it go. Just as Guo Xuehua was hesitating, Yuan Hui said, "Yang Cheng, don't worry about it. We all support you. If anything happens, we'll be on your side." Yang Chen's lips curled into a bright smile. "Why didn't you say so earlier? But let me be clear, I don't know how strong Yang Lai really is. If I use too much strength, don't blame me." As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Chen disappeared from where he stood and reappeared in front of Li Dun. Guo Xuehua was worried. She wanted to say something, but Yang Jiu grabbed her from behind. "Sister-in-law, Yang Lai doesn't listen to you anymore. Look at his murderous eyes. He's going crazy. He's no longer the Yang Lai from before." "Yeah, sister-in-law, don't stop Yang Cheng. This is a matter between the younger generation. We have to look at the bigger picture. Guo looked at Yuan Hui and his wife with a sad face. Of course I know what you're talking about. But after all, there are biological sons. Things had reached a point where there was no turning back. Everyone watched nervously as Yang Cheng and Yang Lai confronted each other. Yang Lai was filled with murderous intent. It was as if he was not afraid of Yang Cheng at all. Yang Chen squinted his eyes. Faintly, he felt that it wasn't Yang Lai's own thoughts that were controlling him. Perhaps it was a side effect of genetic modification. After Yang Lai's nerves were triggered by strong emotions, he became extremely violent and fearless. This side effect was probably left behind by Yin Buin on purpose. Only when one was fearless of death could they unleash their full potential. It seemed that Yin Buin was not just modifying, he was also creating a killing machine. Li Dun breathed a sigh of relief and grinned. "Oh well, Yang, you're really patient. If you didn't come, I would have had to run away." Yang Chen glanced at him and chuckled. "I thought you would really fight to the end like a warrior." "Screw you. That's not a warrior. You're an idiot to fight someone you can't beat." Li Dun patted his butt and ran away. Yang Lai's eyes flashed, and he was about to chase after him. Yang Cheng was not going to let him have his way. He stretched out his hand to block Yang Lai's way. Without anyone noticing, he had moved in front of Yang Lai and slapped Yang Lai's body backward. Although Yang Lai was not the same as before, there was still a huge difference in their strengths. It was easy for Yang Cheng to deal with him, but Yang Lai did not stop there. As soon as he landed, his muscles tightened to the extreme. Suddenly, a strange energy that was very familiar to Yang Cheng appeared around him. The power of the God's Stone. This was the strange power of the God's Stone that the clones, Yin Buin, and the blood-descended Drogba had used before. Yang Cheng did not expect Yang Lai to have this power as well, and it was much more than what Drogba had in his body. Yang Lai smiled cruelly and charged at Yang Cheng like a cannonball. This power was the opposite of the heaven and earth restoration scripture's endless resolve restoration scripture, which was why it was especially effective. But it was also because of this that Yang Cheng was not afraid. The heaven and earth restoration scripture gathered in his hand, and he pushed it out, wrapping Yang Lai's body in it. There was a huge gap between the power of the God Stone that Yang Lai possessed and Yin Buin's. It was probably because Yin Buin was the one who possessed the God Stone that he possessed such powerful strength. Yang Lai's surging power only lasted for a few seconds before he could no longer hold on. "Ark!" Yang Lai screamed in pain as his body was devoured by the heaven and earth restoration scripture and disintegrated at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. Pieces of flesh and blood flew everywhere, and his knuckles began to reveal his bones. From afar, it looked like an invisible meat grinder was devouring a living person's body. The people who were watching with their mouths agape could not help but feel a strong psychological impact. Guo screamed in pain as tears flowed down her cheeks. "Yang Cheng, stop. Stop right now." Yang Cheng pretended that he did not hear her. If he hesitated, it would only make Yin Buin's pawn, Yang Lai, more vicious. That would only make it more difficult for him to find Yin Buin's hideout. Even if Guo Shuihua hated him for the rest of her life, Yang Lai had to die for the sake of the people around him. Yang Lai, whose body was slowly dissipating into the air, finally regained consciousness. However, when he tried to run away, he realized that he could not control his body at all. His eyes were filled with intense fear. If it was not for the remaining God Stone's power that was helping him to resist and repair his body, he would have been reduced to dust. Seeing that he was about to collapse, Yang Chun, who had a solemn expression on his face, suddenly trembled. Yang Cheng's eyes flashed with shock, and the heaven and earth restoration scripture around him disappeared. How? How? Something that Yang Chun couldn't believe happened. Yang Lai, who was about to be completely destroyed a moment ago, suddenly transformed into Guo Shuihua, who was in agony. Guo Shuihua's palms and arms started to dissipate. The pain in her eyes made Yang Cheng's heart palpitate. "Mom!" Yang Cheng exclaimed. Guo Shuihua smiled sadly. "Yang Cheng, Do you hate me that much? Yang Cheng's heart skipped a beat. Subconsciously, his body shook violently, and he stopped attacking. However, to the people around them, it was a sudden change that they could not understand. Yang Cheng had let go of her for no reason. Was it because he was worried that Guo would be unhappy? Chapter 895. Yang Lai, on the other hand, was shocked by what he saw. Then, he used the remaining energy of the God Stone to heal his body. Seeing that Yang Cheng was still standing there like a statue, Yang Lai was confused, but he decided to run for his life first. So, he flew away from the scene. Even after Yang Lai was out of sight, Yang Cheng was still standing there, mumbling to himself as if he was possessed. Old Yang, what are you doing? Li Dun stomped his feet angrily. On the other hand, Yang Cheng was still standing there, unmoving. Lin Ruoshi, Tang Wan, and the others were worried because Yang Cheng's eyes were filled with pain and madness. At that moment, Yang Cheng's vision was completely different from the others. Even though Yang Cheng had stopped, Guo injuries were not alleviated. Her body was still bleeding profusely, and she was on the verge of collapsing. Mom! Yang Cheng shouted with a trembling voice. Just as he was about to step forward, the heaven and earth restoration energy that was contained in the endless resolve restoration scripture started surging around him. He was like an incomparably nervous guard, protecting and alerting his master. Yang Cheng's mind went blank, and he suddenly realized something not good. Just as he shouted in his mind, the Guo in front of him suddenly changed. The body that was on the verge of collapsing a moment ago turned into a dark shadow, hissing as it pounced towards Yang Cheng. Yeah, a ghostly shriek could be heard, as if the shadow was trying to swallow Yang Cheng whole. Yang Cheng snorted coldly. He was infuriated. How could he not know that this was an illusion? He activated the endless resolve restoration scripture and unleashed the heaven and earth energy, turning it into a sharp blade that tore the illusion apart. Ugh! With a blood-curdling scream, the black shadow dissipated in midair. Everything returned to normal in front of Yang Cheng. Hubby, Lin Ruoshi, who didn't dare to step forward, couldn't bear it anymore. She quickly ran up and grabbed Yang Cheng's arm. Her eyes were red and full of worry as she asked, "What happened to you just now? Are you all right?" Yang Cheng heaved a sigh of relief, forced a smile, and patted the woman's hand. "I'm fine. There was an emergency, but it's been resolved now." As he spoke, Yang Cheng glanced at Guo, who was trembling and wanting to come over, but not daring to. A bitter smile appeared on his face. In the end, he was still soft-hearted. If he hadn't been worried about Guo dissatisfaction, he wouldn't have developed such a mental barrier. Yuan Hawei and his wife heaved a sigh of relief. Although Yang Lai almost died, and although they were worried about Yang Cheng's condition just now, they didn't panic because no one was going to die. After thinking for a while, Yang Cheng looked at the sky in front of him with a deep meaning in his eyes. He then turned around and smiled at Lin Ruoshi. "I'm going to meet someone. You guys can continue eating. The food is getting cold. Don't worry about me. I'll come back after I'm done with the meeting." After saying that, before anyone could react, Yang Cheng disappeared from where he was. Because it wasn't the first time that everyone present had seen Yang Cheng's amazing abilities, they weren't too shocked. However, they all looked worried. In a secluded local park outside the Yuan family's mansion, beside a small fountain, Yang Cheng's figure floated down from the sky. On a long visitor's bench beside the fountain, a brown-haired, handsome middle-aged man in a black suit and red tie was listening to music with a pair of big headphones. The headphones were high-fidelity, high-end goods with tube headphone amplifiers. Obviously, the man was very demanding when it came to music. At that moment, he seemed to be immersed in some kind of moving melody as he swayed his head leisurely. The man was very clear about Yang Cheng's arrival. He only raised his hand slightly to greet him, but he didn't open his eyes. He even signaled Yang Cheng not to speak. Yang Cheng carefully looked at the man. After confirming that he didn't see him, he walked in front of the man and reached out to take off the man's headphones. Sigh. The man looked depressed. He quickly reached out to take back the headphones and said in German, "I told you not to mess around. I haven't finished listening to it yet." Yang Cheng ignored him. After putting on the headphones, he listened for a while and then took them off. He also said in German, Vox toccata and fugue in D minor. The man was stunned. He looked pleasantly surprised. You know it? I have. After all, it wasn't an unpopular piece. It was a famous piece of classical music. Naturally, it was stored in Yang Cheng's brain. Not bad. Those who understand music are those who truly understand the meaning of life, the man said seriously. I didn't say I understand, but I know you do, the man said with certainty. Yang Cheng didn't want to argue. He said, You're quite capable. You actually managed to catch a little bit of my inner demon and made me fall into an illusion. The man shook his finger and said with a graceful and unfathomable face, That wasn't an illusion. Oh, then what was it? Yang Cheng's gaze turned cold. A dream. You just had a dream that was originally stored in your brain, the man said rather proudly. Yang Chen let out a deep sigh. Dream realm. Then it should be correct. A strange, evil light flashed in the man's eyes. It seems that you've guessed who I am. It's not difficult to guess. After all, your aura is so obvious. However, I don't understand why Mercury, one of the 12 main gods, one of the most intelligent gods, Hermes, would become a member of the blood tribe. Yang Cheng's eyes were filled with complex emotions. The appearance of this guy was really strange. Among the gods, Athena was probably the most intelligent one. But the most agile one was probably the god of livestock, Hermes. He was crowned as the patron god of merchants, travelers, thieves, and competitions. He invented the 7-string zither and was the first god of music. He was also the messenger of the gods, coming and going like the wind. He was a multi-talented god. Of course, these were all legends. As for who he was, Yang Cheng didn't know too much about him, because this was also the first time he met Hermes. If it wasn't for the fluctuation of the main god and his special ability, Yang Cheng wouldn't have been able to determine his identity so quickly. I heard that Hermes' wand can also make gods enter a dream and control the time when they wake up. Now it seems that your method is much more powerful than I thought. I thought that even if you can control ordinary people with the strength of God's mind, you should be able to avoid it, Yang Cheng said leisurely. Hermes smiled gently. Even gods are living beings. As long as they have intelligence, no matter whether they are good or bad, they will have thoughts. As long as there are thoughts, there will be dreams. Yang Cheng nodded. That's right. Since we're on the same path, can you return my earphones to me, the new Hades? Yang Cheng ignored him and sat aside. He simply wanted to take the other parts of the earphones away. What are you doing? Hermes shouted and hurried to fight for it. Yang Cheng smiled evilly. Then tell me, why did you help Yang Lai escape? Hermes licked his lips, completely ignoring his handsome appearance, and said, You want to hear the truth? Yang Cheng squinted his eyes. If you tell me the truth, you won't believe me even if I tell you. Hermes curled his lips. You also know that I'm the patron saint of thieves and liars. Yang Cheng said, I have my own brain. I know whether I'm lying or not. Hermes sighed. All right, then I'll tell you. As he spoke, the god of livestock leaned close to Yang Cheng's ear and whispered a few words with an unfathomable look on his face. Yang Cheng's expression froze for a while. After a large amount of violent emotions swept through his eyes, he finally calmed down after a full 10 seconds. He said, If you use such a boring reason to let the person I want to kill go next time, I won't be so polite to you. Hermes spread out his hands helplessly. See, I knew you wouldn't believe me. Yang Cheng didn't say anything else. He seized the opportunity to take the entire tube amplifier of this guy's earphones away. Hey, Hades, are you a robber? It's mine. Hermes yelled. Yang Cheng glanced at him. You let the person I want to kill go. Of course, I have to get back some interest. I asked you a question, but you didn't tell the truth. Now, only this earphone is good. I want to give it to someone. If you don't want to give it to me, then take it back from me. Hermes opened his eyes wide, and his face was filled with righteous indignation. How can you be so sure that I'm not telling the truth? Chapter 896. Yang Cheng smiled faintly. Actually, I'm very surprised. Aphrodite said that besides Zeus and Athena, Poseidon should be the strongest. However, from what I can see, Your strength should be above Poseidon's, and not just by a little. Based on your ability to make me feel like I'm in a dream, it should be an extremely delicate control of the laws of space. If you use your full strength, you can cause me a lot of trouble. I don't have absolute confidence that I could defeat you, but I'm sure that if you want to escape, I won't be able to catch you. How can I believe a fellow like you who hides himself so deeply, and a blood breed at that? Hermes was taken aback. So that's the reason. Seems like you have a good reason. Of course, Hermes said with assurance. Those old fellows always put themselves on a pedestal. Do they really think that they're gods? What a joke. That's only because we're gods in the eyes of humans. I only believe in natural selection. The bodies of the blood breeds are much stronger than humans. Although they are mutated descendants of the Protoss, they are much stronger than the original bodies of the Protoss. This is because they don't age, and they almost never die. They only need human blood to continue their bodies. I entered this body thousands of years ago. In these thousands of years, because I don't need to change my body, I haven't gone through the cycle of reincarnation. Indeed, 10,000 years ago, I was not as strong as Poseidon, and even Apollo. However, when they went through the cycle of reincarnation, I was still alive. They awakened, and I awakened. In other words, I had a longer lifespan than them, and could comprehend more profound laws of space. Naturally, I easily surpassed that old fellow Poseidon. Yang Cheng was slightly stunned. He did not expect this to be the reason. It seemed that entering the body of the blood breed through the cycle of reincarnation was indeed a very beneficial thing. However, to the other main gods, the blood breeds were creatures of darkness, living dead that drank human blood, and a small member of the Protoss. They were the descendants of Cain, so of course they felt that it was beneath them to become a blood breed. Moreover, the gods did not have any enemies to deal with, so they did not care about the time they spent cultivating the laws of space. Only Hermes, a cunning and fickle fellow who had broken through the limitations of his thinking, had chosen to become a member of the blood race in an unconventional manner, avoiding the process of reincarnation after 100 years. Yang Cheng pondered for a moment and said, "If you've already entered this blood tribe's body thousands of years ago, then your position in the blood tribe should already be at the highest level, isn't it? Why haven't I heard of any chief gods who are blood tribe members?" Hermes chuckled. "You must have heard of me. My current name is Raphael." Yang Cheng's heart trembled. "Raphael? You're the patriarch of the Tsimus clan?" "That's right, it's me. But I didn't let the blood breeds know my identity. After all, I don't need to reveal these abilities." Hermes grinned. "The child you killed a few days ago, Drogba, was a pure-blood blood breed that I gave birth to over 1,000 years ago. He was one of my children. Although the fertility rate of the main god's main body in this world was pitifully low, the body that they occupied after reincarnation did not affect their fertility. That was why he met Aphrodite's descendant from a few lifetimes ago, Judy of the Blue Storm. And now, it was even rarer that Hermes had a son of a blood tribe. Yang Cheng had long heard from Lilith that the patriarch of the Tsimus clan, Raphael, was extremely difficult to deal with. Prince Sardras was deeply afraid of him. Now he finally understood what it meant. This guy was a chief god. Naturally, he was in an invincible position. So he frowned and said, "I killed your son. Don't you want to avenge him?" Hermes spread his hands and said, "He's already dead. Even if I avenge him, I can't bring him back to life. That child always dreamed that one day I would give him the position of Savatha's leader. He also dreamed of becoming the overlord of the underworld. It's very annoying. If he's dead, then so be it. You have to know that my descendants are already considered very few. Those other fellows will inevitably have a group of descendants every time they reincarnate. If they really manage all of them, then the streets will be filled with their own hundreds of descendants, won't they?" Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. This guy was quite open-minded. Actually, Hermes laughed strangely and said, "I think even if I fight with you, as you said, I can't do anything to you. But I don't think you can kill me either, so it's pointless to fight like this. Why don't we meet peacefully, and then you can return my earphones to me? That'll be considered a friendly start. What do you think?" "I'll accept the earphones. Also, don't interfere with my business anymore, Yang Cheng said in an irrefutable manner. Hermes touched his forehead with a headache. This is my precious collection. I'm leaving. Yang Cheng didn't seem to hear him. Hermes panicked. He swayed his body and tried to snatch the entire set of earphones from Yang Cheng's hands. Yang Cheng channeled the restoration of heaven and earth around him, forming an invisible curl blade that was going to mince Hermes into pieces. Hermes was shocked. He instantly condensed more than 100 layers of parallel space nodes to block the curl blade, and then floated to a distance away. A look of surprise flashed in Yang Cheng's eyes. When he saw Poseidon's instantaneous control of the parallel space density, it wasn't that easy. Hermes' strength was really hard to estimate. It seemed like thousands of years of continuous improvement had paid off. He just didn't know how he would fare against Athena and Zeus. Damn it, are you serious now? Hermes said angrily. I don't fake a match, Yang Cheng said casually. Hermes looked at the set of precious headphones in Yang Chen's hands with a pained expression. In the end, he waved his hand. Forget it. It's my fault for not being able to defeat you. Just treat it as a greeting gift. I was kind enough to give you a warning, but you didn't believe me. Sai, what's the Chinese saying again? Losing the wife and losing the soldiers? Anyway, that's it. After that, a pair of wings flashed under Hermes' feet, and he suddenly disappeared. Yang Cheng narrowed his eyes. This guy was indeed not easy to deal with. Yang Cheng wasn't afraid of fighting him head-on, but his special ability to control the laws of space in his dreams and the divine artifact flying shoes made him unbeatable when it came to escaping. If he wasn't on the opposite side, it was better to keep his distance. Yang Cheng took a deep breath as he thought about the so-called kind reminder Hermes gave him. He tried his best to put it aside and ignore it. His family and the Yuan family must be worried about him. So Yang Cheng didn't waste any more time and immediately flew back to the Yuan family. When he returned to the Yuan family's bamboo house, everyone at the table had already removed their lunch and was looking around anxiously. When they saw Yang Cheng coming back with a strange-looking item and that he wasn't injured, they were relieved. Uncle, where did you go? Everyone was so worried, Tang Tang shouted. Didn't I say I was going to meet someone? Yang Cheng chuckled and placed the earphones and tube amplifier on the table. He said proudly, How is it? This is not bad, right? I snatched it from someone. Everyone was confused. Why did Yang Cheng go out to snatch something? This is an earphone. Hui Lin, who was in the music industry, was naturally very sensitive to such things. Although she was a little embarrassed to face Yang Cheng because of Yang Lai, she still said it. Sister Hui Lin, everyone can tell that this is an earphone, Jinxiu said with a smile. Hui Lin smiled embarrassedly. I just think that this earphone seems to be very powerful. I've heard that an ordinary tube earphone amplifier costs tens of thousands. This amplifier looks very exquisite. It should be very powerful. Yang Cheng clapped his hands. Not bad, Hui Lin. Looks like you've learned a lot about music equipment recently. This electrostatic earphone is Germany's Sennheiser's ORP-CHUS. There are less than 300 of them in the world, so the sound quality is extraordinary. I was thinking that you should make the best use of it when listening to music. What do you think? Do you like it? When Hui Lin heard this, her beautiful eyes were filled with excitement. She was obviously surprised that Yang Cheng would give her a gift. Yuan Yi slapped his forehead. Cousin, so this is Big Quinn. I heard from my friend that this earphone is almost invulnerable because it doesn't have any shortcoming in the frequency band. I think it's priceless in the world. Most of the people present were middle-aged people, so they didn't understand what Yuan Yi and Yang Cheng were talking about. They only knew that this earphone was very rare. When Hui Lin heard that it was so valuable, she quickly said, It's such an expensive thing. Let's forget about it. Brother Yang, you can keep it. It's nothing. Your sister and I don't listen to music anyway. This thing is suitable for music experts. We can't tell the details from listening. Ruashi, as your sister, has always been the one giving you this and that. As your brother, I have to give you some benefits too, right? Yang Cheng smiled faintly and passed the earphone to Hui Lin. Hui Lin's face, which was filled with joy just a moment ago, turned pale unnaturally. Yang Cheng's words sounded very warm, but there was no doubt that he was expressing his intention. You're a doting sister, not a loving woman. The attentive Lin Ruoshi, Tang Wan, and the rest also understood what Yang Cheng was implying. They felt that it was a pity for Yang Cheng's hint. Lin Ruoshi felt that it was a little cruel, but she couldn't reject Yang Cheng's way of doing things. She couldn't imagine that Hui Lin would get involved in this mess. Everyone looked at Hui Lin, who was in a daze. If she accepted this gift for her sister, it would mean that she had given up on her fantasy. Chapter 897. At this moment, the atmosphere was suffocating. No one said anything, only their own complicated thoughts. Hui Lin's lips curled into a gentle smile. Brother Yang, are you trying to brush me off with such a small gift? Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Lin Ruoshi did not dare to continue listening. Could it be that Hui Lin had rejected him? Was she really going to get involved in this mess? But before everyone could figure out, Hui Lin took the priceless pair of Big Quinn's headphones from the Forest of Hades. She rolled her eyes at Yang Cheng. I'll accept it first, but I hope there are other gifts in the future. I'm a superstar. I can't be brushed off so easily. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief, but at the same time, they felt bitter. Looking at Hui Lin's relaxed and bright smile, the bitterness in her eyes was obvious to everyone. Lin Ruoshi's hands clutched the hem of her dress, and she lowered her head in silence. Yang Cheng sighed. Although he felt sorry for Hui Lin's kind intentions, how could he bear to accept her affection again? This was a great blessing for him, but it was unfair to women. While he and Hui Lin did not have any romantic relationship, it was better to cut it off as soon as possible. In the past, if a beautiful girl came to him, he would not reject her. But in the current situation, it was better to avoid her if possible. After Yang Lai's tantrum, the mood to play for the whole day was gone. Apart from Tang Tang, the carefree child, everyone else seemed to have something on their minds. Naturally, they could not chat and laugh freely. After chatting for a while, Tang Wan mentioned that she wanted to go back to the company. Naturally, Yang Cheng was not interested in staying any longer. He got up and left with his family. Because he had to report to the sea, he patted Yang Cheng on the shoulder as a way of saying goodbye. Yang Cheng was very grateful to this guy. If Li Dun had not started a fight with Yang Lai, Yang Cheng would not have been able to make a move. If it's too hard to get Tang Xin, give me a call. I'll help you. Yang Cheng smiled. Li Dun was curious. You can help with this? I'm just comforting you so that you'll feel better after being dumped, said Yang Cheng. Li Dun's face twitched, and he left with a bitter expression. Then, Yang Cheng drove the family back to the city. In the car, apart from Hui Lin, who was sitting at the back with Jinxiu, who had a blank look in her eyes, Guo Shuihua's expression was not good. Yang Cheng, Guo Shuihua, said in embarrassment, Tell me the truth. Have I become a burden to you? Yang Cheng was taken aback. He chuckled as he drove. A little, but it's still within my acceptable range. Lin Ruoshi, who was sitting in the passenger seat, pushed Yang Cheng's waist. She frowned and whispered anxiously, Don't talk nonsense. How can you say that? Yang Cheng glanced at his wife helplessly. I'm telling the truth. If it wasn't for you, I would have killed Yang Lai. Ruoshi, you don't have to say anything. I know Yang Cheng wouldn't lie about something like this. Guo Shuihua smiled bitterly. I know that Lai has gone overboard, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Mother Wang patted Guo Shuihua's thigh. Don't worry, everyone is fine. Hui Lin is fine too. Hearing her name mentioned, Hui Lin smiled faintly and said, That's right, Aunt Guo. As a mother, how can she watch her child die? It's ironic. They're brothers, but now they're enemies. Mother Wang sighed. Guo Shuihua seemed to have made up her mind. Yang Cheng, I've decided. I'll return to Beijing to serve your grandfather after I've settled some matters here. Yang Cheng sighed. Mom, I don't think that's necessary. I can tell you that Yang Lai has already overdrafted his chances of survival. The next time I see him, I'll kill him no matter what. Even if you hate me for the rest of your life and refuse to acknowledge me as your son, I can't do anything about it. To me, Yang Lai has already affected Ruoshi and Hui Lin's safety. I can't give him any more chances to play tricks on us. You're my mother, but I have my own wife and other people that I need to care for. I can't take such a huge risk just for you. Guo eyes flashed with sadness. She smiled bitterly. You're right. I'm too selfish. I should have considered Ruashi's feelings. It's fine. Lin Ruashi turned around and shook her head. Mom, don't say that. If Yang Cheng wants to kill Yang Lai, I'll stop him. It's useless. He's no longer himself. After being modified by Yin Buan, his brain has become possessed. If I don't kill him now, he'll become a huge threat. I let him off too many times. For now on, I won't let him off. Yang Cheng's eyes were filled with killing intent. Yang Cheng. Lin Ruashi panicked. She called out to him coquettishly. If this went on, wouldn't Guo Shuihua's heart turn cold? Guo Shuihua's face was filled with sadness. However, she didn't say anything. It was obvious that she agreed with Yang Cheng's words. She knew that she was taking the side of the evildoer. However, she couldn't overcome the barrier of motherly love in her heart. If she went back to Beijing and didn't see the fight between the two brothers, she would feel much better. However, she couldn't see the two little ones every day. She couldn't bear to leave her good friend Yulan behind. Everyone in the car was in low spirits. Yang Cheng could sense it. However, he didn't say anything. He usually listened to Guo Shuihua and Lin Ruashi at home and was always bullied by Jinxiu. However, Yang Chen didn't want anyone to disobey him when it came to such a serious matter that concerned the safety of his family. It was useless to disobey. As long as he made up his mind, he would do whatever he wanted. When the car passed by the business district, Mother Wang suddenly thought of something. She patted Yang Cheng's seat and said, Young master, stop the car at the intersection in front. I'll go to the mall to buy something. I'll take a taxi back later. Everyone in the car was stunned. Yang Cheng said, Mother Wang, if you need anything, you can ask Ruashi to bring it to you or someone from the company. This is the busiest place. The mall is quite messy. If you want to go to the skyscrapers. Stop the car. It was Lin Ruashi who spoke. There seemed to be a hint of sadness in Lin Ruashi's eyes. She said, Mother Wang must have her reasons for going to buy something. To stop for a while. Yang Cheng could see that Lin Ruashi must know something. However, since Mother Wang didn't say anything, he didn't ask. He thought for a while and said, In this case, I'll accompany Mother Wang. Ruashi, you drive the car back. You're going to? Lin Ruashi was puzzled. Yang Cheng nodded and said with a smile, Don't worry. I'm with Mother Wang. I won't flirt with innocent women. I also won't buy something. At the same time, I can protect Mother Wang. What if such a beautiful woman is flirted with by a bad uncle? Mother Wang blushed. She's an old woman. Beauty. Young master, don't make fun of me. Of course not. I also think that Mother Wang is my big sister. Jinxiu giggled and said from the back. This series of jokes warmed up the atmosphere in the car a little, and the whole family also relaxed. Guo Shuihua smiled and sighed in her heart. Yes, there's no need to think too much about unhappy things. Just cherish what's in front of you. The car stopped by the side. Yang Cheng got off the car and let Lin Ruashi get in the driver's seat. He told Lin Ruashi to be careful. After all, it was rush hour and there were many people. Then, he accompanied Mother Wang to the nearest shopping mall. This was the most civilian commercial area in the East District of Zhonghai. However, it wasn't the cheapest. Therefore, whether it was when Yang Cheng was selling mutton skewers or when he became a gigolo who was adopted by a rich woman, he didn't really come here. He only knew that most of the people in this area were housewives and students from Zhonghai's universities. Mother Wang was happy that Yang Cheng was willing to go shopping with her. For so many years, Mother Wang had been serving her from the old CEO to Lin Ruashi, who she watched grow up. Mother Wang had spent more than 20 years of her youth in this family. Now that Lin Ruashi and Yang Cheng treated her as a real family, she felt that all her efforts were worth it. Seeing Yang Cheng walking beside her as if he was her own son, the melancholy in Wang Ma's heart dissipated a lot. Yang Cheng looked at the huge crowd shuttling back and forth. Seeing that Wang Ma hadn't entered any shops, he curiously asked, Wang Ma, what exactly are you buying? Aren't you going to look at clothes or something? Chapter 898. Wang Ma smiled and said, If you want to see it, you can go and have a look. However, most of the things here are fake. Even if they're really good brands, they won't be sold here. but many of the small items here are good and cheap. I don't have to worry about what to wear. I don't need to shop here, Yang Chung said. Mother Wang nodded. Actually, I come here every year. This year, I was supposed to be here a few days later. But since I was passing by today, I decided to drop by. Did Wang Ma order something? Yang Chun asked as he thought of something. Yeah, there's a shop owner here. She's from the same village as me. She came to Zhonghai to do business. She's opened a few branches now. Every year, I ask her to choose a batch of nice shoes for me. Mother Wang smiled. Shoes? Yang Chun was surprised. He had never seen Mother Wang wear many different shoes. Why would she buy a batch of shoes every year? After a few minutes, they finally arrived at the shoe shop that Mother Wang mentioned. They were all women's shoes of the same color, and they were all colorful and incomparably pretty. Some are sexy, while others were plain. A slightly plump and somewhat graceful woman wearing a black hairpin was directing several shop assistants to entertain customers. She caught a glimpse of Mother Wang out of the corner of her eye, and her face immediately lit up. Yulan, you're here already? I thought it would be a few days later. All Yen, your business is very good. Wang Ma held hands with a woman called All Yen. They were very familiar with each other. All Yen giggled. She pointed at Yang Chung curiously. It's our son-in-law, Mother Wang said proudly. All Yen was enlightened. Oh, it's the husband of the CEO of Yulei International. You're a handsome young man. I couldn't tell. You must have some skills. The daughter of the CEO isn't simple. After all, Wang Ma and Lin Ruoshi were acquaintances since young. She saw Lin Ruoshi as a daughter and didn't feel that she was superior. Yang Shin felt like he belonged here. Listening to their casual conversation, he smiled and greeted them. This was much more comfortable than the hypocritical, goosebump-inducing way of communication in the upper class. Mother Wang asked, All Yen, I'm early. Are the shoes here yet? All Yen smiled. I prepare them for you. With that, Elaine ran to a storage room at the back. After a while, she came back with 8 shoe boxes. Yang Chun was shocked when he saw it. Was it really a batch? All Yen opened the boxes one by one, and Yang Chun was even more shocked when he saw the shoes inside. They were all-summer shoes. The 4 shoe boxes contained women's shoes for the 4 seasons of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. There were cool leather sandals, light women's sneakers, cowhide casual shoes, and winter tasseled woolen shoes. From Yang Cheng's point of view, these shoes weren't from international brands. They were made with exquisite craftsmanship. They should be worth a lot in the market. No wonder Mother Wang asked All Yen to carry them for her instead of going elsewhere. They were all custom-made shoes. What do you think? These are the most popular shoes for the 4 seasons. 2 pairs every season. All Yen smiled. Mother Wang stroked a pair of gorgeous elk leather sandals and nodded with great fondness. You've really put in a lot of effort. These shoes are getting more and more beautiful every year. That's because you can afford it. The old master made them for you. Most people wouldn't be willing to spend 10,000 yuan on a pair of shoes without a brand. All Yen said. Mother Wang sighed. Nowadays, those youngsters only care about brands. They're not as good as the old master. It's worth the money. I have so much money, but I don't have anywhere to spend it. I can only afford a few pairs of shoes a year. All Yen's eyes suddenly turned red, and she wiped the corners of her eyes. You again. It's been so many years. Stop crying. Mother Wang chided. All Yen shook her head. I wish you wouldn't ask me for shoes. Mother Wang pursed her lips into a smile and shook her head. Yangshan noticed it and felt weird. He couldn't help but ask, Wang Ma, are you wearing these shoes yourself? Of course not. Mother Wang smiled. These shoes are for girls in their 20s. They don't look good on me. Are they for Ruoshi? She picked them herself. I don't have a say in them. Mother Wang explained. I just buy them when I have nothing to do. I put them in the shoe cabinet. Take a look at them and keep them as a collection. Yang Chang felt that there must be some other reason, but he couldn't figure it out. He nodded and didn't pursue the matter. Right at this moment, a pair of fair and beautiful hands reached over and picked up a pair of exquisite crystal-patterned high-heeled sandals, pinching them in her hands and playing with them. A clear voice exclaimed in surprise. Wow, the material is good. The size is just right. Why didn't you bring them out earlier? I want this pair. All Yen and Mother Wang were stunned. Yang Cheng looked over too. Everyone was stunned. The girl was happily playing with her shoes. She was wearing a pink flowery summer dress, a white silk pleated skirt, red socks, and white sneakers, revealing a pair of fair, supple, and attractive calves. Under her thick eyebrows, her eyes were clear and bright, and her nose was tall and straight. She looked like a mixed-race doll. She looked to be less than 20 years old, but her breasts were tall and full, and the edge of her deep cleavage could be seen from her round collar. Yang Cheng easily thought of Jinxiu. Although they were equally beautiful, Jinxiu was more adorable. This girl, on the other hand, exuded exuberance from her body. She looked like a little chili pepper. In such a hot summer, the appearance of such a girl would not only bring a cool breeze, but also make a man have a nosebleed. However, although she was stunning, Yang Cheng didn't pay too much attention to her. Not to mention Lin Ruoxi, Qiang Wei, Lu Mingyu, and the other women were only prettier than this girl. Compared to a young and inexperienced girl, Yang Cheng preferred a voluptuous beauty. What piqued Yang Cheng's curiosity was the girl's other secret. Al Yin's tone was especially gentle when faced with such a girl. Little girl, the shoes are reserved. They're not for sale. Is it this Annie who wants to buy them? The girl gestured to Mother Wang. Mother Wang didn't get angry. She smiled and nodded. Annie, have you paid for them? The girl asked. Mother Wang hesitated, but still said, these are custom-made shoes. I spent a lot of money on them. If you like them, you can ask the craftsman to make them for you. I'm taking them with me today. The girl's eyes lit up. Since they can be remade, I'll take this pair. Annie, you can ask the craftsman to make more. I can pay you in full. If you feel like you're losing out, I'll pay you double. Miss, Al Yin frowned. These shoes cost 10,000 Huaxia dollars. First come, first served. Even if you like them, you'll have to wait. The girl snorted. Is 10,000 expensive? Do you think I don't have money? With that, the girl took out her bank card from her purse. Can you pay by card? I'll pay now. Al Yin's face was bitter. She didn't expect this to be a sugar daddy. She said, Miss, it's not a matter of money. This is custom made for my sister. She comes to get it every year. It's not for sale. This is a shoe store. These are new shoes in a box. I'm offering double the price, and you're still not selling them. You're purposely making things difficult for your customers. The girl yelled, attracting the attention of the surrounding customers. Al Yin's forehead was covered in cold sweat. What was going on? Why was the girl screaming all of a sudden? Mother Wang saw the situation and frowned. All right, Al Yin, let's give this pair to the girl. It's better to avoid trouble. At most, we'll take one less pair this year. Didn't the girl say she's buying it for 20,000? Just treat it as a profit for you. You've worked hard for so many years. Al Yin shook her head. Yulan, it's not a matter of money. Why would I take your shoes for money? Aren't you looking down on me? Humph. This Annie is quite reasonable. I offered so much, but you didn't sell it to me. You're clearly bullying me. Who are you? As the arrogant girl pouted and spoke, she suddenly realized that a man had already unknowingly squatted under her skirt. He was pinching her snow-white and tender calves, taking off her pink and white sneakers. Subconsciously, the girl wanted to kick the man's head. But the moment she kicked, her legs were in the air. The girl lost her balance and almost fell to the ground. Unexpectedly, her bouncy and perky buttocks sat on the man's shoulders. She spread her legs and covered the man's head under the girl's skirt. She could only feel the man's hair caressing her sensitive parts. Even the prickling sensation of his hair through her panties had stimulated her holy and pure little part. This provocation caused the girl to subconsciously let out a hymn from her throat. The girl was going crazy. She blushed shyly. I'm going to die. What's going on? Chapter 899. What made the girl incomparably vexed was that she had clearly used all her strength to pull her foot away. But why was the man's hand so strong? If it wasn't for the fact that she couldn't pull her other foot away, how could she be in such a sorry state? At this moment, the man whose head was sandwiched between two white thighs and was covered by a white dress was, of course, the inexplicable pervert, Yang Cheng in everyone's eyes. Because Yang Cheng's head was pressed down, he could only reach out his hand, bend it over his shoulder, and pat the girl who was sitting on top of him. The place he patted was soft, fluffy, and very fleshy. Ah, another high-pitched scream. The girl was like an extremely frightened deer, jumping away with a whoosh. This time, Yang Chung easily took off the sneaker, leaving the girl wearing only a thin red cotton sock. Io, you're finally up. It's such a hot day, and your legs are still heating my head. I'm about to have a nosebleed. Yang Chung muttered as he got up, staring at the sneaker in his hand. A layer of hazy mist rose in the girl's eyes. With a pitiful expression on her face, she pouted and shouted, "Who are you? Why did you steal my shoes?" Yang Chung said with a puzzled expression, "Your shoes? This is a shoe store. I've taken a fancy to the pair on your feet. If I want to buy it, of course I have to take it down." "You, what's wrong with your brain? These are my shoes. They're not for sale here." Yang Chung pointed to the sandals that the girl had taken a fancy to. "These shoes belong to our mother Wong. Don't you want to buy them too? That's a new shoe. I've worn it before. It's fine, it looks quite new. I can give you a price as if it's new." Yang Chung said indifferently. The girl gritted her teeth. "I'm not selling it." "How can you not sell it? You just said it yourself. This is a shoe store. How can there be shoes that are not for sale?" "You, I'm not going to play rogue with you. Anyway, I want those shoes. Give me back my shoes." The girl screamed and wanted to stamp her foot, but she realized that she only had a sock on her foot. She was afraid that it would get dirty, so she could only stop. Yang Chung ignored her and turned his head. "Mother Wong, take the shoes. Let's go back." Mother Wong was a little embarrassed as she looked at the girl who was about to cry. "Son-in-law, please return the shoes to her. It's understandable that the little girl is a little unruly." "Who's unruly? You're all ganging up on me." The girl's eyes reddened. This scene caused many of the surrounding guests to feel that the girl was rather pitiful, and they advised Yang Chung not to make things difficult for her. "Young man, where it's possible to let people off, you should forgive them. This little girl doesn't have bad intentions, so give her back her shoes. Yeah, this daughter is so pretty. Young man, you can't be too heartless." The group of people chimed in one after another, all of them siding with the beauty. Seeing that Mother Wong had also said the same, Yang Chung could only curl his lips and throw the shoes back to the girl's feet. "Wear your shoes and buy the shoes you should buy. The store won't force you to sell them, and you can't force them to buy them either. Go back and let your parents teach you a lesson," Yang Chung said with a frown. The girl put on her sneakers, gritted her teeth, and snorted, "All right, you're finished this time." After saying that, the girl rushed over like a whirlwind, directly grabbing one of Yang Cheng's hands and was about to throw him over her shoulder. This strength was so great that if it was an ordinary burly man, perhaps 2 or 3 of them would have been thrown upside down. Outsiders were only surprised that the girl actually knew some martial arts, but they couldn't feel the force behind it. However, Yang Chung could easily feel the force. The girl had purposely held back. As expected, this girl was not an ordinary person. An evil smile appeared on the corner of Yang Cheng's mouth, but he wasn't interested in delving deeper. In any case, there were so many sects that practiced ancient martial arts, so it wasn't a big deal to meet a young girl with profound internal energy. The girl's strength directly pulled Yang Cheng's arm straight, but Yang Cheng's feet were like the roots of an old tree, not moving at all. The girl tugged a few times and even pulled herself down to the ground, but it still had no effect. Involuntarily, the girl realized that this man wasn't just lucky that he hadn't been kicked away by her. This man had martial arts, and his cultivation was above his own. "Who are you?" The girl jumped away vigilantly, her beautiful almond-shaped eyes full of vigilance. Yang Chung ignored her and helped Mother Wong pile up the shoe boxes, intending to leave. "You're not allowed to leave." The girl quickly blocked the way, opened her arms, and pouted. "How can you leave like this?" Yang Chung couldn't help but laugh. "What? You want to fight me here? If I hit you, it'll be bullying you, and I'll be criticized by a bunch of people. I won't get anything out of it. Do you think I'm stupid?" Al Yin tried to smooth things over. "Young lady, forget it. It's just a small matter. If you like other shoes, I'll give you a 50% discount. How about that?" "It's not a small matter," the girl said, tears glistening in her eyes, and her cheeks were pink. My chastity is gone." Yang Chung choked, and quickly covered his mouth. After a moment of daze, he burst into laughter. Even Mother Wong, Al Yin, and a few other customers smiled kindly, thinking that this girl was really cute. "What are you laughing at?" The girl stamped her foot. "Your head, it's all there. How am I going to face people in the future?" Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. "Then what should I do? Why don't you put your head under my butt too? Then we'll be even." The girl's face was as red as an exploding thermometer, and she whimpered, You're bullying me. You're a bad person." Yang Cheng was getting a headache. What kind of person was this? He gave Mother Wong a look and decided to leave as soon as possible. Mother Wong frowned, but couldn't say anything. She nodded and was about to leave. Al Yin and the customers only shook their heads and smiled. Everyone had seen what happened, so they didn't think that Yang Cheng had gone too far. After all, the girl was too insensible, and anyone would want to teach her a lesson. It was just that Yang Cheng's method was a little special. But before they could leave, the girl ran up to Yang Cheng and asked with a pair of innocent eyes, "You haven't told me your name yet." Yang Cheng was taken aback. "Why should I tell you? You have to be responsible for me. Of course you have to know my name before you can date me." The girl said seriously, "Responsible? Date?" Yang Cheng thought he was hallucinating. Didn't she want to fight him just now? Didn't she want to yell at him? "I'm Luo Xiao Xiao," the girl said. Yang Cheng's mouth twitched. "Nice name. Got it. Goodbye. Oh no, don't ever see me again." Luo Xiao Xiao grabbed Mother Wong's hand and asked, "Big Mama, I was wrong. Can you tell me your son's name?" "Big Mama? Son?" It wasn't just Yang Cheng. Even Mother Wong had a strange look on her face. In the end, she said awkwardly, Hee, young lady, this is our son-in-law, not my son." "Son-in-law?" Luo Xiao Xiao frowned. "So you're married?" Yang Cheng thought that she wasn't too careless after all. Nodding, he said, "Little sister, go do what you need to do. As long as you don't tell men that you're but clamped my head, 90% of men won't reject dating you." Luo Xiao Xiao giggled. "Yeah, I think so too. The boys in my school like me the most. I think 99% of them won't reject me, but I don't like them. They're not strong enough. They're definitely not as strong as you." Yang Cheng thought he might have met a girl with mental problems. Maybe the pressure from studying was too much for students these days. But then again, she was a girl with good internal energy. She should have a strong background. How did the elders in her family raise a child like this? Luo Xiao Xiao did not stop. She continued, "Even though I'm still a student at Zhonghai University, I'm an adult now. I've always been single. I like pink and white. My zodiac sign is Shepherd. I like guys who are stronger than me, but they can't be older than 30. You seem to fit the bill. I'm married, and I'm a playboy. I've had more than one woman." Yang Cheng deliberately looked at Luo Xiao Xiao's chest with a lecherous expression. Unexpectedly, the girl puffed out her chest and said proudly, "It's fine. I'll help you divorce your wife and make her your concubine. As for your fickleness, it's nothing. When I want you to accompany me, you can come and accompany me. If I don't want you to accompany me, you can go and play with other women. I, Luo Xiao Xiao, am a very busy person. I have a lot of things to do." Mother Wong was stunned. She tugged at Yang Cheng's sleeve and said, "Son-in-law, has this girl been traumatized?" Yang Cheng agreed. "Mother Wong, let's go." Luo Xiao Xiao stomped her foot angrily. "I heard everything. Who's been traumatized? Don't think that I'm afraid of you just because you're better at fighting. If my dad— oh no, my dad is here. He can strangle you to death with one finger." Yang Cheng didn't want to waste any more time with this crazy girl. "All right, since your dad is so strong, tell him to come find me. If he can beat me, then I'll marry you. If he can't, then let's pretend nothing happened." Unexpectedly, Luo Xiao Xiao immediately cupped her cute face and shook her head shyly. "Ah, you're so annoying. Are you proposing to me in front of so many people in a shopping mall? I'm not even ready yet. They say it'll give the bride premarital phobia." Chapter 900. This was the second time Yang Cheng was at his wit's end with a woman. The first time was with Lin Ruoshi. His wife was so stubborn and unmoved by force or persuasion. She would never talk to him unless he was willing to give his heart to her. This time, with Luo Xiao Xiao, it was because this girl's thoughts were too wild and imaginative. How did I propose to you? Yang Cheng pulled a long face, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Luo Xiao Xiao pouted and ran her fingers through her hair. She said shyly, "You definitely can't beat my father. My father is." Sigh. There's only one person in the world who can beat my father. But you're not that person, so you're going to lose for sure. So you're basically proposing to me. Even Mother Wang was stunned. Other than feeling dizzy, Yang Cheng vaguely thought of something else but could not grasp it. This girl was giving him a headache, and he did not want to stay any longer. If that's the case, let's get your father to come. We're leaving. Luo Xiao Xiao nodded, but immediately grabbed Yang Cheng's arm and said seriously, "Can't we date first? My father hasn't come to see me for a long time. I don't know when he'll come. No, let's fight first." Fight? I'm not interested in fighting. Not even if I can find him. Yang Cheng thought. Luo Xiao Xiao pouted. Fine, but you have to tell me your address. Yang Cheng gave her a random address. Of course, it was someone else's address. Luo Xiao Xiao took out her phone and recorded it. When she was done, she said, "Give me your number. I can call you, right?" Yang Cheng had no choice but to give her his number. Of course, it was another matter whether he picked it up or not. Although this little girl was very annoying, she was also very pure. She believed everything that was said. After she finished recording, she excitedly waved at the two of them. "See you. I'll give you a kiss the next time we meet. Remember to pick up my call." Luo Xiao Xiao smiled sweetly. Yang Cheng left with his mother Wang as if they were fleeing from a disaster. On the way out of the mall, both of them felt like they were in a dream. They didn't expect to encounter such a romantic encounter while casually shopping in the mall. Miss will definitely laugh if you tell her about this. Mother Wang couldn't help but say. Yang Cheng shook his head. Forget it. It's better not to talk about girls. Mother Wang's eyes were full of approval, but this kind of look made Yang Cheng's face feel hot. When they were about to leave the mall, Yang Cheng asked Mother Wang to wait for a while before he ran into the nearest store. Mother Wang was confused by Yang Cheng's behavior. Due to the traffic jam, it took them almost an hour to get home. Guo Shuhua was already preparing dinner, while Lin Ruoxi, Hui Lin, and Jin Xiu were watching a Korean drama together. When she saw Yang Cheng carrying a large pile of shoe boxes into the house, Lin Ruoxi didn't seem surprised at all. On the other hand, Jin Xiu and Hui Lin were full of curiosity. Mother Wang, where are you moving these? Yang Cheng asked as he carried the high stack of shoe boxes. Mother Wang didn't stand on ceremony. She ordered, "Put them in my room. I'll tidy them up." Yang Cheng didn't have time to deal with the women. He calmly carried the pile of shoes upstairs. Lin Ruoxi walked up and saw Mother Wang's satisfied expression. She laughed softly and said, "Mother Wang, these coolies are not bad, right?" Knowing that it was a joke, Mother Wang added, "Yes, it's all thanks to Mrs. Good Judgment." Lin Ruoxi pursed her lips and smiled, but there was a hint of melancholy in her eyes. Mother Wang, actually, if you want, I can get the media to help you find them. Mother Wang shook her head. Forget it. It's been almost 20 years. I don't have any hope. At this time, Jin Xiu came up and asked with a charming smile, Mother Wang, are those shoes? Who are they for? Lin Ruoxi turned around and pinched the girl's nose. Don't think about it. Those are Mother Wang's collection of shoes. They're not for anyone to wear. Oh, Jin Xiu stuck out her pink tongue. I still don't know that Mother Wang likes to collect shoes. Can I have a look when I'm free? Mother Wang nodded with a smile, but there was a hint of regret in her eyes. Deep in her heart, there seemed to be some nostalgia for the vicissitudes of life. At this time, Yang Cheng, who came out of Mother Wang's room upstairs, looked a little strange. Coming downstairs, he looked at Mother Wang and said with a smile, I didn't expect Mother Wang to collect so many shoes. Because he had never been to Mother Wang's room before, Yang Cheng couldn't help but understand something when he thought of the scene he saw just now. Mother Wang smiled faintly and said, They're all small things. Thanks to Miss, we're all living in big houses, so it won't be too lonely to put some things in. Yang Cheng nodded and didn't comment any further. He turned to Jin Xiu and said, Miss Jin Xiu, I have something for you. Jin Xiu was about to run to the kitchen to help Guo Shuihua. When she heard this, she asked in confusion, "Brother Yang, you bought me shoes?" Yang Cheng chuckled. "How would I know what kind of shoes you like?" "What's that?" Jin Xiu pursed her lips and said, "It can't be some stationery, right? It's for me to use in university. I'm not a child, I don't want it." Yang Cheng's expression stiffened. "Do I have such bad taste?" Jin Xiu nodded seriously. This caused Lin Ruoxi and Mother Wang to cover their mouths and snicker. Yang Cheng sighed and walked out of the house. He took out the gift he bought from the shopping mall, returned to the living room, and passed it to Jin Xiu. Not only Jin Xiu, but Lin Ruoxi and Hui Lin were stunned for a moment. Mother Wang, who already knew about it, had a touch of warmth in her eyes. It was a bouquet of white lilies bound by a red ribbon, and it was fragrant. "For me?" Jin Xiu asked in a daze. Yang Cheng nodded. Yuan Yi gave Tang Dang a red rose for her university entrance exam. "Of course, our Jin Xiu should have flowers too. But since I can't give her red rose, I'll give her a lily. After all, it represents blessings, and it's also a good thing for her to get into a prestigious university." Jin Xiu didn't expect Yang Cheng to take this into consideration. Thinking that Yang Cheng noticed her disappointed look, Jin Xiu felt sweet and sour at the same time. She couldn't help but pout, and tears welled up in her eyes. Lin Ruoxi and Hui Lin were also touched, so they didn't think there was anything wrong with Yang Cheng giving flowers to Jin Xiu. Lin Ruoxi was a little jealous that this guy didn't buy a bouquet for her. She could at least get a red rose, but she was happy that Yang Cheng cared so much about Jin Xiu. Jin Xiu took the flowers, choking with sobs, but she couldn't say anything. "Sigh, I knew you would cry, so I bought this when I left the mall." Yang Cheng took out a tissue from his pocket and said, "Although there are some at home, just treat it as a gift for me." This action made Jin Xiu want to cry and laugh at the same time. She smiled and scolded, "Bad guy." She took the tissue and wiped it. A touch of warmth spread in this medium-sized house. When Guo Shuihua finished cooking dinner, the fragrance filled the whole dining room, and the whole family sat down to have dinner together. Hearing that Yang Cheng gave Jin Xiu flowers, Guo Shuihua smiled with satisfaction. "I still remember when I first met Yang Cheng. He looked kind, but his heart was as cold as a stone. Now it seems that he has become a real man." Yang Cheng's face turned red. "Mom, I am a man." Guo Shuihua rolled her eyes at him. "Mom will be leaving tomorrow. You have to take good care of Ruoxi and the rest. You're the only man in this family, so you have to take responsibility. Also, after Hui Lin's concert ends, hurry back to Beijing. Mom and your grandpa are waiting for the two of you there. You are the eldest grandson of the Yang family, and now that Lyre is like that, your grandpa will definitely want to hand over the Yang family to you. Back then, he didn't give the position to your father because his character and official position were not up to the task. Now you're the only choice, but to convince the public, there are still many twists and turns. Not to mention that you don't have a deep foundation in Huaxia. After all, the small subsidiary families under the Yang family are all from the military. If you don't show your courage, it will be hard to convince the public." Yang Cheng did not care about what she said and asked, "You are leaving tomorrow?" Guo Shuihua's face darkened. "Yes, I am leaving tomorrow. I have booked the plane tickets, and my subordinates will come to pick me up tomorrow morning. You don't have to send me off. I am afraid that I will have to wash my makeup if I cry. Understand?" The atmosphere suddenly became gloomy. Yang Cheng took a deep breath and smiled. "Got it. Anyway, we will see each other soon. Take care, Mom." Guo Shuihua nodded with a smile and said to Lin Ruoxi, "Ruoxi, if Yang Cheng does anything bad, give me a call. You can't let him do whatever he wants just because he is the pillar of the family. Understand?" Lin Ruoxi forced a smile and nodded. Although the last dinner during this period of living together was unusually sumptuous, no one had much of an appetite. The next morning passed in a daze. When Yang Cheng went downstairs for breakfast, only Mother Wang and Jin Xiu were left to prepare the meal. Suddenly, the person he saw every day, the person who called his name and told him to hurry up and eat, was gone. Yang Cheng was puzzled. Why didn't he have insomnia last night? Because she said that they would meet again in a few days. Thinking of this, Yang Chung felt everything in front of him brighten up. That's right, the woman he called Mom was a burden to him, but she was also a shining light in his life. Before he knew it, it was the end of July, and the Olympic Games were about to begin. But for the people of Zhonghai, what they were looking forward to more was the official start of Hui Lin's concert tour in Zhonghai. Chapter 901. The tour, which had been in preparation for more than half a month, was already ready. Although there were some minor changes to the schedule, it only increased the anticipation of the fans and the public. Posters and neon lights filled Zhonghai City, highlighting the influence of Hui Lin in the Chinese entertainment circle and gradually spreading to the whole world. Music critics were full of praises, saying that this was a gentle breeze that brought the busy but heavy and turbid world of today. The pure and simple singing made those artists who tried to use fancy acting skills and vulgar scandals to gain fame slap themselves hard in the face. The more different from the mainstream of the times, but the more likable it was, the more recognized and loved by the public. On the day of the concert, as the director of the entertainment company, Yang Chung naturally had to arrive early. Even if he just stood there, it was still an attitude. Mother Wang and Jin Xiao, the Yuan couple, Yuan Yi and Tang Tang all arrived excitedly. Even Choi Yun, Emo, Chinny, Chiang Wei, and the other girls were all there. Although they were not familiar with Hui Lin, they did not want to let go of this opportunity as they were fans of her. Looking at the stage set and lighting, the Zhonghai International Sports Center, which could accommodate more than 30,000 people, was ready to go. Yang Chung was quite satisfied. He looked around. Other than his family and women, everyone else was waiting in the front row of the VIP seats. The audience had also entered the venue in an orderly manner, but Lin Ruoshi was nowhere to be seen. Logically speaking, she should be the most concerned about Hui Lin's concert. Why was she not there? Yang Chung frowned and took out his phone to make a call. The phone rang a few times, but no one picked up. Left with no choice, Yang Chung dialed Zhao Hongyin's number. When the call went through, Zhao Hongyin's puzzled voice came through. Yang Chung, why are you calling me at this time? Yang Chung asked directly. Is Ruoshi with you? Zhao Hongyin was puzzled. General Lin left for the concert an hour ago. Why are you asking me about this? What? Yang Chung was shocked. Why isn't she there? Zhao Hongyin was also stunned for a while. How can that be? Even if there was a traffic jam, an hour should be more than enough. Yang Chun had a bad premonition, but he felt strange. He had asked the members of Sea Eagles to protect Lin Ruoshi. Even if there was danger, he should have been notified. Annoyed, Yang Chung was about to call Molin to ask her about it when Lin Ruoshi called him. Ruoshi, the concert is going to start soon. Where are you? Yang Chung heaved a sigh of relief and asked. Lin Ruoshi seemed to be very tired. She said gloomily, I got into a car accident. Accident. Yang Chung felt like his heart was going to fly out of his chest. How did she disappear and then get into a car accident? Are you okay? It's not me. I hit someone else's house. Lin Ruoshi said in embarrassment. Yang Chung was stunned. Lin Ruoshi didn't drive fast. How did this happen? No wonder the members of the Sea Eagles didn't give him any information. After all, as long as it wasn't a threat to Lin Ruoshi's safety, the Sea Eagles could only watch it develop. Otherwise, it would be considered as interfering with Lin Ruoshi's daily life. In order not to let the women feel like they were being monitored, Yang Chung ordered them not to ask about anything other than personal safety. Is it serious? Lin Ruoshi said, I'm at the hospital now. I was busy asking the doctor and didn't get your call. I accidentally hit a girl when I was turning a corner. Her leg was injured, so I had to send her to the hospital first. Now, I can't watch the concert live. Yang Chung sighed. Which hospital are you in? I'll go with you. I don't think so. Huilin will be sad if you leave when I'm not around. Lin Ruoshi hesitated. Yang Chung smiled bitterly. You're in a car accident. Why should I watch the concert? I'll talk to Huilin. Let's go and watch her next concert. We'll have plenty of chances in the future anyway. Lin Ruoshi didn't refuse anymore. It was the first time a woman encountered something like this. It was much scarier than the mutual deception in the business world. After all, she really hit someone. If the other party didn't dodge in time, it would have been a disaster. Then you have to make it clear to Huilin. Don't let her be too sad. We'll go to the concert next time. I'll give her a call and ask her to perform with Anshin, Lin Ruashi said. After they came to an agreement, Yang Chung quickly ran backstage to explain the situation to Hui Lin. Hui Lin also received a call from Lin Ruashi. When she learned that Lin Ruashi hit someone with her car, she blamed Lin Ruashi for not being worthy of a chauffeur. A woman with a net worth of tens of billions drove by herself all day long. If it wasn't for Yang Cheng's secret protection, she might have been robbed or kidnapped. On the phone, Lin Ruashi was like a little girl who was scolded for doing something wrong. It was obvious that she blamed herself for the accident. I'm also a little anxious. I want to go to the concert as soon as possible. Lin Ruashi couldn't help feeling wronged. Huilin glanced at Yang Chung, and her face blushed. Anyway, you have to come to my concert next time. Otherwise, I won't sing. Yang Chung couldn't help laughing. That won't do. We can earn more than 100 million from your concert. How can you not sing? Hearing Yang Cheng's interruption, Lin Ruashi couldn't help cursing. Why are you still laughing? Yang Chung chuckled. After Hui Lin hung up the phone, he bade farewell to her. Although Hui Lin's eyes were filled with pity, she was also very understanding. About an hour later, as Hui Lin's concert started on time, Yang Chung followed the crowded traffic and arrived at the first hospital of Zhonghai City, where Lin Ruashi was staying. Following Lin Ruashi's instructions, Yang Chung came to a high-class ward in the hospital. After all, as the CEO of a multinational company, he would definitely be criticized if he was stingy with the compensation. Hence, Lin Ruashi was very generous. After a series of examinations and treatment, the girl was allowed to rest in a high-class ward for a few days. Just when Yang Chung was about to enter, Lin Ruashi happened to come out. When she saw Yang Chung, she couldn't help being a little startled. Why aren't you making any noise when you walk? Lin Ruashi asked while holding on to her chest. Yang Chung was stunned. He felt that it wasn't suitable for him to make any noise in the hospital, so he purposely walked softly. He must have been careless and turned silent like an assassin. Is the girl all right? Yang Chung asked with a smile. Lin Ruashi nodded and said with a smile, the doctor said that it is a scratch on her calf. Although there's a lot of blood, the bones are fine. If it's confirmed that there's no infection tomorrow, she can be discharged. What about her family? Have you contacted them? Yang Chung asked. Lin Ruashi's face was a little sad as she said, she doesn't have a family. What do you mean? Yang Chung was confused. Lin Ruashi said with pity in her eyes, that girl is an orphan. She just came back from abroad. She's a graduate student and teaching assistant in the computer science department at Zhonghai University. She has no relatives or friends. That's why I don't want to leave her. After all, she's injured and has no family. If I keep her to watch the concert, then she'll be too pitiful. Yang Chung sighed softly. This woman's heart was really hard to understand. She didn't seem to care at all about attacking other competitors and destroying their families. But this time, the car brushed against the girl. Just because she was an orphan, she was so sentimental. How exactly did you hit it? Don't you look at the signal light? Yang Chung changed the topic. Lin Ruashi said embarrassedly, the road conditions are very complicated. It's not like you don't know that it's rush hour. There are a lot of people, so I might have driven a little faster. When the girl walked out from a junction, she happened to be packing her bag. Because there were other passers-by blocking her, she didn't notice that she walked out a little. When I braked, the front of the car still rubbed against her leg. Although Lin Ruashi's words were very vague, Yang Chung could roughly imagine that the responsibility should be that girl. After all, she didn't look carefully when she was walking, and Lin Ruashi didn't run a red light and drive illegally. However, in this society, driving was always at a disadvantage compared to walking. As long as one didn't get hit to death, the driver's compensation was a matter of course. This also made many courageous fellows find the right opportunity to get hit by a car. However, since this girl was a graduate student and teaching assistant at Zhonghai University, she definitely wasn't the kind of person who would risk her life. It could indeed be considered a coincidence. Chapter 902. I'm going to call Han Yin to cancel some of her schedule tomorrow morning. You go in first. She doesn't have a family, so we'll stay here with her tonight. She can be discharged tomorrow morning anyway. Remember to speak nicely to her. I don't want her to expose us and let the media say that it was reasonable for our family to hit her. Lin Ruashi said. Yang Chung had no objections. Just as he was about to enter the room, Lin Ruashi thought of something and quickly reminded him, "Don't have any dirty thoughts. She's beautiful, but it has nothing to do with you." Yang Chung staggered and almost fell. She didn't forget to remind him at this time. It seemed that he was really useless. When Lin Ruashi walked to the end of the corridor, Yang Chung took a deep breath and walked into the ward. As the family of the perpetrator, some sympathy was necessary. Walking into the brightly decorated ward, a girl in white and blue cotton pajamas was sitting on the bed. The air conditioning in the room was very cold. The girl covered her lower body with a white quilt. Her silky black hair hung there, and her face couldn't be seen clearly. But from her slender white neck, one could tell that she was definitely not bad-looking. The girl didn't seem to hear the sound of Yang Chung coming in. She was holding a reading material prepared for patients in the ward and was casually flipping through it. Yang Chung was about to greet her, but he suddenly felt that this figure was a little familiar vis-a-vis. At this moment, the girl slowly raised her head. A delicate and enchanting face with a hint of a wicked smile appeared in front of him. "Long time no see, my dear Yang Chung." The woman's voice was soft with a trace of natural charm. It was Xiao Qiqing who he saw on the street a few days ago. Yang Cheng's brain stopped working. He stood at the door for a long time and gradually understood many things. "You did it on purpose?" Yang Chung frowned. Xiao Qiqing put on an innocent face and said, "What? We haven't seen each other for so long. As a man who had an intimate relationship with me, can't you say that you miss me when you see me?" Yang Chung wasn't in the mood to joke around. "Tell me, what's your motive? I don't believe you. How can my wife hit someone at that speed? Why not? My calf is still hurting." Xiao Qiqing said, full of grievance. "What exactly do you want?" Yang Chung asked directly. Xiao Qiqing shrugged. "It's nothing. I'm recuperating now. The doctor said I can only leave tomorrow morning. I remember telling you that we're even. What you're doing isn't very smart." Yang Cheng's expression grew colder. Xiao Qiqing's eyes were a little misty. The woman's seductive charm became stronger. "Do you hate me that much? Are you really not happy that I'm here?" "Not at all," Yang Chung said straightforwardly. Even if he used his toes to think, he knew that this woman was setting a trap. Although he didn't know how she found him, Yang Chung felt that the situation was getting worse. Now that Lin Ruashi already knew of her existence, he couldn't do anything to her. He couldn't even secretly take her away. Xiao Qiqing wasn't only a cruel and merciless woman. What's worse was that her background wasn't ordinary. She must have a lot of troubles on her. If he got involved, wouldn't he be asking for trouble? Moreover, the date of his wedding with Lin Ruashi was approaching. If something happened at this critical juncture, would he still be able to get married? After hearing Yang Cheng's reply, Xiao Qiqing was slightly startled. Then, a trace of resentment and sadness flashed across her eyes. Following that, her expression changed. The tears on her face disappeared and turned into a cold smile. "Since you don't have a good impression of me, then I can only do it for myself," Xiao Qiqing said. Just when Yang Chung was wondering what this woman wanted to do, Lin Ruashi, who had just finished her call, came back. Yang Cheng's heart tightened. He was thinking about how to explain to Lin Ruashi. He didn't want Xiao Qiqing to gain the upper hand. "My dear, how could you abandon me so cruelly?" All of a sudden, Xue Jiqing screamed from the bed with a pitiful expression. Lin Ruashi, who had just stepped into the room, was instantly nailed to the ground like a wooden stake. Lin Ruashi was at a loss. She looked at Xiao Qiqing, who had a pale face on the bed. Then, she looked at Yang Chung, who was at a loss. Her eyes revealed a trace of shock. "Damn it! What kind of show are you putting on?" Yang Chung couldn't help but curse. Xiao Qiqing sobbed. "When you were in Los Angeles, you said that you would take responsibility for me. I spent so much effort looking for you. Now that you're in front of me, you don't want me. You're even scolding me now. I've already given you everything. Why are you so cruel to me?" The woman's acting skills were definitely at the level of a movie queen. Her eyes were red from crying. and her eyes were filled with grief. Any man's heart couldn't help but soften. Yang Cheng's brain was about to explode. If he had known earlier, he would have asked the people from Sea Eagles to investigate and monitor her movements when he saw her on the street. He didn't expect her to strike first. Now that Lin Ruoshi was here, it didn't matter what he said. As expected, Lin Ruoshi's pretty face suddenly turned sullen. Her delicate body was trembling with anger. Her eyes were like two icicles as she stared at Yang Cheng. She asked coldly, "Los Angeles?" What did she mean? "Ruoshi, you've been tricked. She pretended to be bumped in a bayou in order to get close to me," Yang Cheng explained gloomily. Lin Ruoshi sneered. "In order to get close to you? You knew her from the beginning?" "Yes, but listen to me, she's a liar," Yang Cheng said. Lin Ruoshi's smile was exceptionally cold. "Liar? Would anyone be able to lie to you? Listen to my explanation." "I'm not listening." Lin Ruoshi resolutely didn't let Yang Cheng continue. She turned her head and looked at Xiao Qiqing with sharp eyes. She said, "I don't care if you did it on purpose or not. I just want to know what's your relationship with this man." Lin Ruoshi pointed at Yang Cheng and used the term "this man." She was obviously extremely angry. Xiao Qiqing seemed to be very scared. She shrunk her body and looked innocent and pitiful. I met him in Los Angeles," Xiao Qiqing said with a trembling voice. Her tears were still falling. "When was it?" Lin Ruoshi questioned. Xiao Qiqing said it was at the beginning of June. Lin Ruoshi's expression became even uglier. She took a deep breath and sneered at Yang Cheng. "Early June. It's really on time. I remember that you said that you were going to help Christine with something. So it turns out that you were going to do something else." Yang Cheng had a headache as he held his forehead. His heart was in a mess. Lin Ruoshi saw that the man had tacitly agreed, and her heart felt like it was being bitten by insects. She turned around and asked Xiao Qiqing, "Miss Xiao, I really want to know what the two of you did." Xiao Qiqing's fearful face revealed a tinge of shyness. We just did that, and that's it," Xiao Qiqing said as she lowered her head. Her chin was almost touching her chest. Lin Ruoshi finally understood. However, this was undoubtedly a bolt out of the blue. She thought that perhaps the two of them were just a little ambiguous, but it seemed like it had far exceeded her imagination. Xiao Qiqing seemed to be afraid that Lin Ruoshi wouldn't believe her, so she hurriedly added, "Miss Lin, what I said is true. I really love Yang Cheng. We even took a photo in bed at that time. The photo is still on my phone. I can show it to you." As she said that, Xiao Qiqing picked up the phone she carried with her from the pillow. After opening the photo album, she placed the camera in front of Lin Ruoshi. Lin Ruoshi didn't even have time to think about it. On the phone screen, she saw a familiar man naked, revealing the big fellow below and lying down with a face full of enjoyment. Based on the setting, it was obviously a hotel room. When Yang Cheng saw this photo, he felt a headache coming on. He wanted to smash his own head. When he left, he only thought that he would never see Xiao Qiqing again. He actually forgot to destroy the photo that he had taken in the camera. This time, the evidence was irrefutable. Even if this was obviously Xiao Qiqing's conspiracy, it didn't matter anymore. Lin Ruoshi staggered 2 steps back. Her thin lips were completely pale, and her whole body was trembling with anger. Slowly raising her head, Lin Ruoshi looked at Yang Cheng with a face full of despair. Her tears fell silently. Chapter 903. Yang Cheng, you've really improved. Since you dare to do such a thing, why don't you dare to admit it? Didn't you have the guts to bring all kinds of women in front of me and say that they were your lovers? There's another one here, and she's so beautiful. Why don't you say that she's your lover this time? Don't you know that I'm already used to it? You even said that there were too many such things and that you were too busy to admit it, so you refused to admit it? Lin Ruoshi's face was pale as she asked with a cold smile. Yang Cheng closed his eyes. After a moment of silence, he opened his eyes and said, "Yes, I did have a relationship with her once, but I definitely don't have any feelings for her. It's just that she deliberately set up a trap for me and was countered by me. I did do something to let you down, but she's not my lover. She was deliberately setting up a trap for us." "Enough!" Lin Ruoshi directly interrupted Yang Cheng's words and said with her almond-shaped eyes, "She's a weak woman. How could she harm you? Do you think I'm a 3-year-old girl? Do you think I don't know your ability? Can she harm you?" Yang Cheng was speechless. Indeed, back then, it was also because of his greed. When the words came to his mouth, he could only say 3 words. "I'm sorry." "I'm sorry?" Lin Ruoshi sneered. "Do you think that by saying these 3 words, it's over? If it was in the past, I would have nothing to say if you went out to find a woman. But now that you're still like this, why do you want to marry me? Why do you want to hold a wedding? It's great that you're having fun outside." Yang Cheng was speechless. He only felt that his entire body was about to be pierced by Lin Ruoshi's needle-like words, and all the energy in his body dissipated. As for Xiao Qi-Ching, she sat on the bed with a trace of complacency in her eyes and a complicated expression on her face. Lin Ruoshi felt even more hopeless when she saw that Yang Chun had given up on explaining himself. With a trembling voice, she said, "I could choose to ignore the number of women you've had in your past. I could work hard to overcome the fact that you're deeply in love with another woman. I could accept that you're unfaithful to your lover. But now you're lying to me. You tricked me into going to Los Angeles to help someone else, but you did something worse than a beast." "Ruoshi, I know you're angry, but she's not an ordinary woman. She's dangerous," Yang Chen advised. Lin Ruoshi slowly shook her head and took 2 steps back. "In my eyes, you, who I've been with day and night, have always looked incomparably magnanimous, but you've suddenly become like this. Someone like you is the most dangerous." After speaking, Lin Ruoshi immediately turned around and left the ward. Yang Cheng shouted, but Lin Ruoshi just quickened her pace and ran away. Yang Cheng stood at the door in a daze for a long time before he turned around and looked gloomily at Xiao Qi-Ching, who was lying on the bed with a relaxed expression. At this moment, there was no trace of the aggrieved look on the woman's face. "Are you satisfied? Is this what you want? It's all right. Since you don't want me, I'll have to make things difficult for you." Xiao Qi-Ching twirled her hair and said. Yang Cheng said in a deep voice, "What do you gain by doing this?" "No, you're a lunatic, a crazy woman," Yang Cheng couldn't help but say through gritted teeth. Xiao Qi-Ching's gaze turned cold as she squinted at the man. "That's right, you're right. I'm a crazy woman, a vicious woman with a heart of snakes and scorpions. So what? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you right now? Come on, since I gave you that layer of membrane, you can take my life as well." Xiao Qi-Ching giggled. "You're not allowed to laugh," Yang Cheng roared. He swooped forward and grabbed the woman's neck. As long as he exerted a little force, Xiao Qi-Ching would die in a second. Xiao Qi-Ching couldn't breathe, and her beautiful eyes immediately widened, filled with sorrow and desolation from the bottom of her heart. The moment Yang Cheng met her gaze, he loosened his grip a little. What kind of gaze was this? It was like a desolate desert, without the slightest bit of life or vitality. The dried-up water source, the withered old trees, and the boundless wind and sand made people unable to see the slightest bit of hope. A beautiful woman who was as beautiful as a flower, with such a seductive appearance, and a body that was as slender as a water snake. Why would she have such a hysterical and desperate expression? "Why didn't you kill me?" Xiao Qi-Ching opened her red lips, revealing a sad and charming smile. "I said, you're not allowed to laugh." "Heh, hee. I just want to laugh. Why can't I laugh?" "You can cry, but you shouldn't laugh." Yang Cheng's heart suddenly calmed down. It was as if the woman's gaze had tugged at his heartstrings. A tear suddenly rolled down from the corner of Xiao Qi-Ching's eye. "Kill me. If I die, I won't smile anymore." The woman was still smiling like a flower. "Are you really not afraid of death?" Yang Cheng frowned. "Afraid?" Xiao Qi-Ching suddenly laughed exceptionally intensely, and even started to cough because her throat was stuck. After a long while, the woman said with sparkling eyes, "I've already died hundreds and thousands of times. Do you think I'm afraid of death?" Yang Cheng could feel that to this woman, death was really a happy thing. Thinking back to the first time he saw her, the 9 meridians in her body, and the countless poisons that had accumulated in her body, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Indeed, it was a miracle that she was even alive. Why would she be afraid of death? Letting out a long sigh, Yang Cheng let go of his hand. You're not going to kill me? Xiao Qiqing's eyes were filled with doubt. Yang Cheng walked out of the door and said without turning his head back, although I don't know why you're doing all this, I don't want to see you again. You should be in more pain than you are dead. Xiao Qiqing stared blankly at Yang Cheng as he walked out of the door, until the sound of his footsteps disappeared from the corridor. Silently, Xiao Qiqing clenched the blanket tightly, tears dripping down, staining her eyes. You say you want to kill me, but you still can't do it. You say you don't have any feelings for me, but your heart softens when you see my eyes. Men all say one thing and mean another. Humph. Wiping away her tears, Xiao Qiqing's face once again revealed a charming smile, but with a hint of tenderness. At this moment, when Yang Cheng walked out of the hospital, his heart was even heavier. To be honest, he didn't really care what Xiao Qiqing wanted to do, because the crux of the matter was that he did have sex with her, and he couldn't deny that he couldn't resist the temptation of Xiao Qiqing's body. It was natural for Lin Ruoxi to be angry at him, and it was his fault for hiding this matter. Because everything was natural, Yang Cheng especially didn't know how to deal with it. Lin Ruoxi's car was already gone, and the woman obviously drove somewhere else. She didn't want to see Yang Cheng, and she didn't want to hear any explanation. Yang Cheng asked the members of Sea Eagles to continue to take care of her. As long as the woman was fine, he didn't want to add fuel to the fire at this time. With such a breath stuck in his heart, Yang Cheng couldn't wait to directly kick down the large pillar in front of the hospital entrance. After thinking for a while, Yang Cheng felt that it was not appropriate to go home. It was not appropriate to go back to the concert venue, and it was not appropriate to look for those female confidants, which would be especially unfair to Lin Ruoxi. After thinking about it, Yang Cheng suddenly found that he was no different from a poor, abandoned, homeless person. Suddenly, a figure appeared in his mind, and Yang Cheng patted his forehead. At this time, only she might be able to give him an idea. Soon, Yang Cheng drove to Zhonghai University. The person Yang Cheng was looking for, naturally, was Jane. Firstly, this woman had no relationship with him. Secondly, the two could talk about almost anything, and Jane's wisdom might be of some help. More than half an hour later, Yang Cheng came to the campus of Zhonghai University. After calling to inquire, Jane had indeed gone home, which was the quiet small villa provided by the university. Yang Cheng came to the villa and walked to the white wooden door. When he was about to knock on the door, he found that the door was open. It seemed that Jane was too lazy to open the door for him and opened it early. Yang Cheng was not worried that Jane would be robbed at night because this woman was, after all, a royal princess. The education she received from childhood included a series of self-defense skills, such as swordsmanship and jujitsu. Moreover, she was good friends with Solon and others. Even if she was not comparable to an agent, ordinary special forces would not be able to get close to her. After entering the door, they stepped on a new fluffy Persian Gulf carpet. A bright crystal lamp hung high, and the air was filled with a faint smell of lavender, showing that although the hostess was a scientist, she did not forget material comforts. The problem was that the hall turned out to be empty. Just as Yang Cheng wondered where Jane had gone, he heard the sound of heavy objects falling from a room on the right. Chapter 904. Yang Cheng's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that something had happened to Jane? In a flash, he came to the door of the room. But the scene in front of him made Yang Cheng not know whether to laugh or cry. He saw a pile of strange equipment and a pile of heavy and huge books piled up messily on the ground. Their owner, wearing a plain white fringed nightdress with a head of soft amber hair disheveled, was sitting in the middle of this pile of things. And 3 large wooden shelves and a tall chair were pressed around at the same time. Obviously, when Jane was taking something, she accidentally tilted the wooden shelf, which continuously affected the surrounding pile of things, spreading them all over the ground like a domino effect. What made Yang Cheng particularly interesting was that at this moment, Jane was barefooted and wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses on the bridge of her nose. She didn't have her usual noble temperament at all. Instead, she looked like a scholarly young woman at home. Of course, even though this foreign girl was dressed like this, she was still youthful and attractive. Seeing Yang Chung standing at the door, trying to hold back his laughter, Jane looked discouraged for a while. "Stop laughing. Help me put these books back on the shelf," Jane said helplessly. "Why are you doing damage at home?" Yang Chung joked. Jane said gloomily, "I'm not doing damage. I just wanted to flip through a book, but I heard the sound of you coming in. Then I wanted to say hello to you, but I lost my balance and held on to the bookshelf. But I forgot that these bookshelves are not the bookshelves of my palace in Wales. These are not fixed properly, so they collapsed." Yang Chung finally couldn't help but laugh out loud. "It turns out that you also have such an embarrassing time. It seems that genius scientists are not omnipotent." Jane's blue eyes showed a hint of evil interest. "The dignified Lord Hades came here to have a heart-to-heart talk with me. What's this little setback?" Yang Chung was speechless, coughed twice, and squatted down to help Jane tidy up things. Jane won easily, and couldn't help but have a smug look on her face. He didn't expect that he would end up becoming a coolie who had to help move things after coming over to chat with Jane and vent his frustrations. As Yang Chung helped her put the thick books back on the bookshelf, he asked in bewilderment, "Technology is so advanced now. Why do you still carry so many books? They're all so heavy." Jane said in distress, "These are the results of my research. Many of them are drawings and detailed formulas. The current computers can't accurately input what I want to record. Although I could develop a more sophisticated computer, I couldn't record all of the research results. Before I could solve that problem, I could only use the most primitive method of recording it on paper. However, don't look down on these books. I made these papers myself. Even if they were to be drenched in water in a fire, these books wouldn't have any problems. These papers wouldn't fade or rot for at least 200 years. Yang Chung was tongue-tied for a while. It was the first time he had heard that there was data that couldn't be entered and backed up by a computer. It seemed that the scientific problems that Jane helped him solve in the past were not her true strength at all. Perhaps no one could understand the cutting-edge fields of her own research except herself. In addition to the books, there were also many strange instruments and devices. Yang Chung couldn't understand the role of these things at all. He couldn't help but ask curiously, "What are these things? Why haven't I seen them before?" Jane put a black ball-like thing back on the shelf and said with a bit of playfulness and excitement in her eyes, "Of course you haven't seen them before. These are my treasures." "Treasures?" Yang Chung was stunned. "These are all my inventions in recent years. I'm the only one in the world who knows their role, and I've never made them public. You've taken advantage of me today to see these great works." Talking about her inventions, Jane was like a proud little girl at the moment, showing off her masterpiece. Yang Chung couldn't help but smile. He glanced around and picked up an exquisite pink headset inlaid with crystals from the ground. Other than being particularly beautiful, there was nothing special about this headset. "This headset is also your invention? Other than inlaid with crystals, what else can it be great?" Yang Chung said in disbelief. Jane smiled mysteriously. "You can try it on." Yang Chung saw that the woman was being mysterious, but it didn't matter. He directly put it on and said, "Okay, what's so special about it?" Jane bit her lower lip and thought for a while. Suddenly, she opened her mouth and said in the Congo language of Africa, "The function of this headset is very amazing." Yang Chung was stunned. Why did this woman speak in the Congo language? It wasn't like he didn't know that she was like him, proficient in hundreds of languages. Unexpectedly, in the next second, there was a standard female voice in the headset, repeating Jane's words in English. Yang Chung was stunned for a moment. He took off the headset and said in astonishment, "This headset is a translator." Jane nodded proudly. "Yes, this headset can translate almost 100 languages in the world into English. It can also change the output of other languages according to my special chip." "How is it? Isn't it amazing?" Yang Chung nodded. It should be noted that in the current world, not to mention hundreds of languages, there weren't even translators that could smoothly translate two languages. Even if there were, it would be due to the huge size of the device, making it unsuitable to be carried around. Moreover, it would require manual input instead of direct translation. The scientific research and technology required in this process was really extraordinary. If it's slightly modified and simplified, this thing can completely allow the whole world to communicate without any obstacles. You invented such a powerful thing. Why didn't you publish it? Jane shook her head and said with a smile, Actually, I made this thing 2 years ago when I was bored. But after careful consideration, I decided that it's better not to let outsiders know. Why? Yangcheng was puzzled. Jane sighed. You may not know, but in fact the core cost of making this headset is about equivalent to the most ordinary mobile phone. That is to say, as long as it is made, about 50% of the human population can afford it. Now, there are millions of people in the world who rely on foreign language teaching to earn their living expenses and support their families. If I introduce this machine, even if I contribute it to the world without applying for a patent, sooner or later those who are engaged in foreign language teaching will all lose their jobs. In that case, won't I become a sinner? Moreover, language learning actually involves in-depth research of various cultures. I think it's better to let humans have that kind of learning process. I shouldn't block such a way of communication. Yang Cheng was stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect Jane to consider this. Jane didn't think there was anything special about it. After putting back the translation headset, that was enough to cause the whole world to go crazy if it was spread out. She introduced other proud works to Yang Cheng. It could be said that these strange but powerful things that made Yang Cheng dumbfounded were actually handicrafts made by a girl who was less than 20 years old in her spare time. Gradually, the way Yang Cheng looked at Jane became somewhat different, and his expression became quite complicated. When the introduction was almost done, Jane couldn't help but ask, Yang Cheng, why are you looking at me like that? Do you think my inventions are very boring? If that's the case, I won't say it. In fact, these are all things I play when I'm bored. Because there's no one to tell them, I can't help but say some more. Yang Cheng shook his head and sighed. I just feel that it seems that I have never really known you. You are much more powerful than I thought. I suddenly have a little admiration for you. I thought you would say that I am a crazy woman. Jane blushed shyly and stuck out her pink tongue. Yang Cheng thought of the woman Xiao, Qi-Ching, and couldn't help but murmur, Crazy woman. How can you be considered crazy? Jane saw the faint melancholy on Yang Cheng's face and said embarrassedly, By the way, I almost forgot. You just said on the phone that you have something on your mind to talk to me. I was busy introducing these things. Why don't you tell me now? Yang Cheng said with a smile, It's good to introduce these things. It diverts my attention. I feel much better now. You still have to tell me. Jane reached out and adjusted her lens-less, empty-rimmed glasses. Her elegant face was full of expectation. Don't you know that girls have no resistance to gossip about men they like? Chapter 905. Zhonghai East Commercial Street. Bustling night. Lights waned. A variety of dynamic melodies were playing in the shops, making the whole summer night full of rhythm. Most of the pedestrians on the pedestrian street were young men and women, holding hands, laughing, or affectionate. Occasionally, a few old couples passed by, but they were also affectionate. Although the city was dirty and the starry sky was not bright, no one could deny that such a night was full of longing and thoughts. On a long visitor's chair beside the central flower bed, an elegant woman in a lavender dress with pleated sleeves and a white belt sat quietly. The woman was wearing a pair of large sunglasses, covering half of her beautiful face, but just from the slender white neck that was exposed and the soft and beautiful lines that were perfectly proportioned, it was enough to make people involuntarily take a few more glances. Occasionally, a few young men who thought they were good-looking tried to get close to her, but no matter if it was greeting or attracting attention, the woman didn't respond at all. Even in such a bustling street, this small area was like an isolated world, strangely cold. This woman was naturally Lin Ruashi. After driving a long circle on the highway from the hospital, as tears dried up, the pain, resentment, confusion, anxiety, and uneasiness in her heart made her at a loss. She didn't want to go home, she didn't want to see her family, she didn't want to see her friends, and she didn't want others to find out about her terrible situation. Lin Ruashi suddenly wanted the world to cover up all her negative emotions. Therefore, noise might be the best medicine. Now, she was very afraid of being alone. Usually, She was very afraid of going to public places with many people alone. It seemed that since high school, her appearance was no longer just a little pride in her heart, but more of an inconvenience. Men would come up to strike up a conversation, and women would stare at you with jealousy and cursing eyes. At first, Lynn Ruashi felt that she was very innocent. She just had a mother who was similar to her, and this was not her choice. But later, Lynn Ruashi gradually understood that not everyone could be satisfied with themselves. This wasn't just limited to their bad side, but also their good side. Therefore, she, who had always been cold and aloof, began to live a particularly lonely life. Other than going to the bookstore to read books and going to the shopping malls and buildings under her company to inspect, she almost never appeared in crowded places. But today, Lynn Ruashi really needed to come here. In order not to be too troubled and to cover her slightly red and swollen eyes from crying, she wore a pair of sunglasses. But the woman in a bad mood neglected one thing. It was night. Sunglasses would only attract more attention. At this moment, Lynn Ruashi exhaled quietly to herself. She was very distressed. Why was it so noisy in her ears? The voices of people, cars, music, and unknown mixed noises filled her ears. But why did he keep thinking about that scene in the hospital ward? Why does that man keep appearing in my mind? Is it fated that I can't escape and am destined to be bullied by him? No, I must have a way to forget him. No matter how much I used to love him, I can't live in his lies for the rest of my life. Just as she was cheering for herself, feeling wronged and resentful about the man's bad side, a small figure unknowingly appeared in front of Lynn Ruashi. She was wearing a light blue Garfield cartoon t-shirt, white cotton shorts, and a pair of pink leather sandals. The little girl was still so delicate, but because her hair had grown longer, her mushroom hair was tied into a neat ponytail, making her small face look especially chubby. Regardless of whether it was men or women, old or young, this time the number of people looking at Lynn Ruashi was especially high. However, most of their attention was on this little girl who was about 4 or 5 years old, who was even more charmingly naive than a doll. The little girl, Lon, tilted her little head, opened a pair of big black gem-like eyes, and carefully stared at Lynn Ruashi. After looking at her for more than 10 seconds, her face finally lit up and she giggled. "Sister, who looks like Mother? Lon recognized you." Lynn Ruashi was startled. She felt that the voice was very familiar and slowly raised her head. When she saw who the little girl standing in front of her was, she was stunned for a moment before immediately revealing a knowing and happy smile. "It's you, little friend." Lynn Ruashi quickly moved her body and patted the seat beside her. "Come, sit beside big sister." Although she had seen the terrifying killing power of the little girl, Lon, for some reason, Lynn Ruashi didn't think that the little girl who killed without batting an eye was that scary. Perhaps it was because she saw that when Yang Chung killed people, he was also so decisive and direct. After getting used to it, it didn't matter anymore. Moreover, the little girl was killing evil people. Lon nodded. Although her body was too small, she easily turned around and jumped up to sit on it. Her small body was indeed very flexible. "Sister who looks like Mother, why are you wearing sunglasses?" Lon almost didn't recognize you. If it wasn't for the shape of Sister's body, Lon might not have been able to see it. Lon said curiously, "Body shape? Is it the figure?" Lynn Ruashi couldn't help but smile even wider. Although this little girl was a little mischievous, she was still a child. There were many words that she didn't know how to say, nor did she understand the specific meaning. Naturally taking off her glasses, Lynn Ruashi didn't want to look at the child through her sunglasses. After stuffing the sunglasses back in her bag, she carefully stared at Lon for a while. Compared to last time, Lon was wearing a short-sleeved shirt and shorts, which was a bit more simple and lively. Especially the exposed white hands and feet, it made people want to take a bite. Of course, it wasn't the kind that was dripping with blood, but it was puffy and too tender. "You're called Lon, right?" Lynn Ruashi naturally reached out and touched the girl's hair and asked. Lon pouted. "Sister is so stupid." Lon already said her name last time, and just now. Lynn Ruashi rolled her eyes. This was the first time that a child could make her roll her eyes. It seemed that this child couldn't talk in a normal way. Is Lon Lon alone? Oh, right. Doesn't Lon Lon have a grandfather? Lin Ruashi asked with concern. After all, this girl ran away from home last time. Lon Lon said with some unhappiness. Grandfather went to a faraway place to do something and won't be home for a while. Grandfather said that Lon Lon can't go with him, so only Lon Lon and the nanny are at home. Lin Ruashi knew that Lon Lon didn't have her parents by her side, so she asked with some heartache, then what about the nanny? Lon Lon pointed to the McDonald's across the street and said, Auntie went to buy McDonald's. Lon Lon and Auntie came out to play and haven't eaten yet. McDonald's? Lin Ruashi couldn't help but frown when she heard it. At this time, a woman walked out of the McDonald's with 2 big bags of food and 2 drinks. She looked around and saw Lon Lon sitting on the seat beside the flower bed. She let out a sigh of relief and quickly ran over. Io, my little grandaunt, you scared me to death. Why did you run here without paying attention? If you got lost, the master would slap me to death. The nanny nagged, but could be heard that it was from the bottom of her heart. However, saying slap to death sounded weird to normal people. Lon Lon stuck out her tongue and giggled. She jumped off the chair and hugged Lin Ruashi's thigh. She said proudly, Nanny Auntie, this is what I said. A sister that looks like my mother. Isn't she beautiful? The nanny had been looking at Lon Lon with concern and didn't notice it. Now that she saw it, she couldn't help but be surprised. Ah, so this is the young lady. She's really beautiful. Lon Lon always told me that she saw a big sister that looked like her mother. Today, I see that the young lady does look like Lon Lon. The nanny said in surprise. Lin Ruashi's pretty face blushed. She didn't know why she was a little happy. Logically speaking, I haven't even had a real sexual intercourse. I should feel uncomfortable being said that I have a mother-daughter relationship with a little girl. Is it because my maternal love for the little girl is too much? However, after being mentioned by the nanny, Lin Ruashi looked at Lanlin's appearance and thought of her childhood photos. It seems that they really look like each other. Is this fate? Chapter 906. In fact, the nanny just said it casually. Although Lon Lon was chubby and cute, how could she really see that she was similar to Lin Ruashi, who had already grown up? It was just that Lon Lon felt that Lin Ruashi was very similar to her mother, and Lin Ruashi liked this girl in her heart, so she naturally pulled the relationship between them closer in her heart. At this time, the nanny squatted down again and said with a smile, Lon Lon, I bought hamburgers and fries. Shall we eat inside or outside? Without waiting for Lon Lon to decide, Lin Ruashi directly interrupted, Forget it, don't eat. The nanny and Lon Lon were both stunned and didn't understand what was going on. Lin Ruashi frowned and said, Auntie, may I ask your name? The nanny was stunned for a moment. She was shocked by the inherent elegance and cold temperament of a superior that Lin Ruashi exuded. She couldn't help but think about it in her heart. My name is Xiao Minwan. Just call me Minwan. Lin Ruashi nodded and said, My name is Lin Ruashi. You can also call me Ruashi. Minwan, it's better not to let Lon Lon eat junk food like McDonald's and KFC. It's not good for her growth and development. Lon Lon is not thin to begin with, and it's especially easy to get fat after eating it. Nowadays, there are many children with obesity, which is very harmful to the future. Minwan was stunned when she heard this. She had never thought about this problem before. She was hired to take care of Lon Lon. She would buy whatever Lon Lon wanted to eat, so she could only say innocently, Miss Lin, it's Lon Lon who wants to eat. It's not up to me. Lin Ruashi sighed and turned to look at the little girl. Lon Lon, on the other hand, opened her big watery eyes and looked blank, as if she was thinking about something. You're an adult. How can you listen to kids and buy whatever they want? It's not a big deal to eat this kind of thing once in a while, but I saw that you bought 2 big bags at once. How come there are enough for 4 people? You must have eaten a lot. You're not allowed to do this in the future. Problems will arise sooner or later, Lin Ruashi said to Minwan. Minwan smiled awkwardly. It's mainly because Lon Lon has a very good appetite. She won't feel like she has enough to eat. In fact, I've already bought a little less. Master doesn't want Lon Lon to eat too much. Yang Cheng was slightly stunned. There was such a thing? How much could this little girl's stomach hold? Lon Lon tugged at Lin Ruashi's skirt and pouted. Sister, Lon Lon won't eat McDonald's anymore. Don't be angry. Lin Ruashi smiled and said, Sister isn't angry. Just be obedient and don't eat it in the future. How about this? Sister will bring Lon Lon to eat handmade noodles. Sister hasn't eaten dinner yet. Hearing that, Lon Lon smiled sweetly and nodded in. The nanny, Minwan, looked at the two figures, one big and one small, holding hands and walking into the street. She was slightly lost in thought. It was as if they really were a pair of mother and daughter. At the same time, at the entrance of Jane's villa, on the lawn, Yang Chung sat on the ground, enjoying the evening breeze. He looked at the dark green surroundings in a daze. A bottle of wine that emitted cold air appeared in front of him. The hand holding it was slender and fair. Thank you. Yang Chung took it from Jane's hand. Jane walked to the man's side and sat down as well. She was already holding an open can of beer in her hand. You still drink beer? Aren't you afraid of getting a beer belly? Yang Chung opened the can and took a sip. He felt quite refreshed. Jane lowered her head and pursed her lips into a smile. She was still wearing the same nightgown, and the woman was too lazy to change. Her amber hair hung low, and she looked quiet and moving in the night. I don't drink it every day because I don't think you're suitable for whiskey or wine right now, so I'll accompany you to drink some. Yang Chung nodded and sighed. Sure enough, it was the right choice to come to you at this time. I didn't tell you anything, but you could guess what kind of wine I needed. Jane turned her head and asked, Can you tell me now? Yang Chung pondered for a moment, smiled bitterly, and nodded silently. He didn't hide anything and told her everything that had happened between him and Xiao Qiqing in Los Angeles, and what had happened today. Jane listened quietly. Other than occasionally taking a sip of beer and then frowning cutely, there was no other expression. Jane, I really look down on myself now. Do you think I really have a pig's brain? Isn't it just a woman who looks good and has an attractive figure? Isn't it just something that has been done hundreds and thousands of times between men and women in the past? It's not like I don't have women. Why can't I hold myself back for such a small thing? Yang Chung asked bitterly. Jane suddenly snorted. I hope you can hold yourself back, but why do you never want to touch me? Is that Xiao Qiqing better looking than me? Yang Chung was stunned and smiled bitterly. You still have time to make such a joke? Didn't I say earlier that you're different? At least it proves that it's not that you can't hold yourself back, but that you don't want to hold yourself back for Xiao Qiqing, Jane said. Yang Cheng's eyes were a little blank. What do you mean? Jane said lightly. I don't believe other men, but I know your self-control very well. Maybe in the past, when your brain was affected by the divine light, you really didn't have much immunity to women. But even then, you couldn't do it to just any woman, not to mention that your brain isn't affected now. There's only one reason why you would do that to Xiao Qiqing, but not to me. You didn't treat her as a woman that needs to be treated seriously. Just like many years ago, when you were still training in Zero, did you take pity on the female assassins who fought with you for a chance to survive as women? Yang Chung was stunned for a while and shook his head stiffly. They're not women, they're my enemies. That's right, that's it, Jane smiled. Before you treated Xiao Qiqing as a woman that you like and want to love, she was actually just a living being that you could kill at any time. You were just playing with her. You didn't have any feelings for her at all. Of course, you wouldn't have much patience for a plaything. It was your instinct, or maybe it was what you thought at that moment, so you did it. As for the rest, you can only say that you didn't consider it thoroughly enough, or that Xiao Qiqing wasn't as simple as you thought. That's why it became like this. If we're talking about love, you didn't cheat on Miss Lin at all. At least you didn't when it came to Xiao Qiqing. Yang Chung listened to it blankly and smiled bitterly. Only your brain would come up with this kind of analysis. Ruashi wouldn't have thought of it like this, and this can't be used as an excuse for me to hurt her. Jane curled her lips. You can't explain it like this. If it was possible in the past, you definitely can't now. Why? Because Jane smiled slyly. I can see that your feelings for Xiao Qiqing are very complicated now. I don't know what triggered your feelings, but you obviously don't see her as a toy anymore. Otherwise, you would have killed her in the hospital just because she dared to plot against you in public. Yang Cheng felt as if the depths of his heart had been completely seen through by a woman's simple words. As expected, I'm still a promiscuous person. Am I terrible? Yang Cheng mocked himself. Jane shrugged. Everyone has a different point of view, so they have different opinions. At least, I hope that you're more fickle and less resistant so that I can succeed. I don't care about marriage and loyalty. Those are used by ordinary people to stabilize the conventional social morality. With your ability, there are a lot of women who want to throw themselves at you. Sauron and Maekdan, those two disgusting old guys, have dozens of lovers, and you only have 10 or so. It's nothing. At least in my eyes, you're already a very obedient man. Is that how you see me? Yang Cheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It was the first time he heard Jane talk about him so rudely. Jane suddenly smiled charmingly. Do you think I'm the only one? I believe that those lovers of yours, that Miss Mo, Miss Xiangwei, Miss Anshin, and the others, although they don't say it out loud, they actually think so in their hearts, which is why they cherish you so much. Of course, it's not that they only love your appearance, because you guys went through all kinds of experiences to get together. But you can't deny that if you were purely a man working at Ulay International, you wouldn't even be able to touch the toes of those spoiled girls, not even in your entire life. Yang Cheng sighed. Are you trying to absolve me of my misdeeds? Uh-huh. Of course not. Jane shook her head. I'm just saying my opinion, but these opinions are completely untenable for your wife, Miss Lin Ruashi. Yang Cheng frowned. Why is that? Jane sighed. Because her identity is different. She's your wife. In a sense, your lover took away her original complete love and marriage from her hands. You have to know, you're an excellent lover, and they're also your excellent confidants. But you're not a complete husband, but she's a complete wife. This is also why she's always the one who gets hurt, and she can only swallow her anger because she can't bear to part with you. This is really cruel. As a woman, although I like you very much, I'm also very angry at you for hurting her like this. Yang Cheng's face darkened. This is what I feel the most disgusting about myself now. Then, dear Mr. Disgusting, do you know what 3 words a man shouldn't say after saying I love you to a wife who loves you deeply? Jane winked playfully and asked. Yang Cheng was at a loss and shook his head. What words? Yes, no, rise. Chapter 907. Yang Cheng felt that Lin Ruashi was very unfortunate, and he was also very unfortunate because he was afraid that 90% of the sorry he said in this life was given to Lin Ruashi. Why didn't you say so earlier? Yang Cheng looked at Jane gloomily. Jane, on the other hand, took a sip of beer and wrinkled her nose because of the pungent smell. Why should I tell you? To tell you the truth, I think the main reason why you don't want to accept me is because you care about Miss Lin's feelings. All humans have good and evil sides. My evil side tells me that it's a good thing for me and other girls if you get divorced. Yang Cheng almost fell to the ground. This woman really knows how to say it. Can't you give me some advice? I was planning to take Ruashi to the wedding next month when the weather turns cold. Can't you just give up and get a divorce? Jane pouted. Stop ting. Yang Cheng couldn't help raising his voice. As long as Ruashi doesn't mention it, I won't get a divorce even if I'm beaten to death. When she looked down on me, hated me, and ignored me, I went through it with her. Because of other women, we quarreled with each other countless times, and we survived. Now, because of a Si Yao Chi Ching who came out of nowhere, you want me to get a divorce? I'm not willing, even if she's willing. If I didn't put her in my heart, would I have prepared for a wedding for half a year and lived with her until now? But she doesn't think so. She's like a spring. You hurt it again and again, and it will be stretched again and again. Sooner or later, the spring won't be able to retract, Jane said lightly. Yang Cheng scratched his head hard. If her spring doesn't retract itself, can I still press it back? This time, it was Jane's turn to be speechless. In the end, she couldn't help but laugh in disappointment. This is the first time I've seen you acting like a child, Jane said sadly. It seems that you really love her. There's no hope for my little evil. Feeling that his tone was too harsh, Yang Cheng replied in embarrassment, I'm not angry at you, but I'm in a terrible state right now. All right, I understand, even if you don't tell me. Then, is there a way? Yangqing couldn't help but swallow his saliva and ask. Jane's fingers scratched the can of beer. After a long silence, she sighed. You're a married man, and you want me, a girl who hasn't even been in a relationship, to give you advice? I can only say the only stupid idea I can think of. It doesn't matter if it's a stupid method or a smart one. As long as it can help me get through this crisis, it's a good one. Jane held up a finger. What do you mean? Yangchen was puzzled. One word. Wait. On the second floor of a traditional handmade noodle restaurant in the business district, there was a small table for 4 people in the corner. Under the bright lights, the air was filled with all kinds of rich noodle fragrance. Because it was no longer dinner time, there weren't many tables on the second floor, and they were scattered. Lin Roashi sat in her seat, facing the little girl, Lan Lan, and the nanny, Min Wan, who was always taking care of her. At this moment, Lin Roashi's expression was rather strange. To be more precise, she was a little stupid. The nanny, Min Wan, looked very embarrassed, and could only smile awkwardly at Lin Roashi from time to time. Lan Lan, on the other hand, didn't feel the slightest bit unnatural. In fact, Lan Lan was standing on her seat at the moment. Because her body was still very short, Lan Lan felt that it would be very tiring to lie on the table and eat noodles. Thus, the girl could only step on the chair, then carry a large round bowl that was nearly 20 centimeters wide, and gulp down the soup and eat the noodles. For an ordinary child, such a large bowl would actually be very difficult to hold, but for Lan Lan, the weight was not a problem. It was just that her small hand was still not big enough, and she couldn't use the chopsticks very smoothly, but she could make do. In front of Lan Lan, there were already 3 large, empty bowls of noodle soup, and that was the main reason why Lin Roashi was a little stunned. Lan Lan held the bowl of noodles, raised her head, and drank the last of the pork rib soup, then stacked the 4th bowl. After putting down the chopsticks, she took a small handkerchief from the nanny and wiped her pink and moist mouth. Then, the girl burped, reached out her hand, and rubbed her small but round belly, and said, I'm full. Lin Roashi came back to her senses and looked down at her bowl. There was still a small bowl of noodles left, and she felt like she was dreaming. Oh my God, I haven't even finished 1 bowl, and I'm so stuffed, but this child actually finished 4 big bowls. In fact, if Min Wan hadn't asked for an extra bowl from the beginning, perhaps the noodle chef wouldn't have been able to cook as fast as Lan Lan ate. Although she knew that Lan Lan was not an ordinary child, this child not only had amazing explosive strength, but also an incredible appetite. It was really hard to imagine that so much noodles and soup could fit into her small belly. Mom, sister, don't leave any leftovers. Grandpa said that we can't waste food. Seeing that Lin Roashi was not eating, Lan Lan immediately pouted and lectured her. Lin Roashi couldn't help but blush. Originally, she really didn't want to eat, but wouldn't she be looked down upon by a child? So she lowered her head and continued to eat. Min Wan sat down with Lan Lan in her arms and said with a smile, Miss Lin, I'm sorry. Our Lan Lan has always had a very good appetite, and I was surprised at first, but now I'm used to it. Lin Roashi smiled stiffly. Min Wan, is Lanlin's grandfather the only family member? She had wanted to ask this question for a long time, but she had always felt that it wasn't appropriate to ask Lan Lan. Min Wan sighed bitterly. I'm not really sure either. Lin Roashi was a little disappointed. I was a little abrupt. I shouldn't be able to casually say this. Min Wan hurriedly shook her head. No, Miss Lin, I really don't know how to tell you. I also don't know who Lanlin's parents are, and I don't know what happened because the old master has never said it clearly. Lan Lan has a father and a mother. Grandpa said that Lanlin's father is in Zhonghai, and he will bring Lan Lan to find him. The little girl said anxiously. Lin Roashi was slightly startled. In Zhonghai? Yes. Lan Lan nodded, but Grandpa said that Dad is very busy right now, and can only go find him in a few days. Lin Roashi was puzzled. What kind of logic was this? No matter how busy he wouldn't even see his daughter? Thus, she looked at Min Wan doubtfully. Min Wan replied, Miss Lin, to be honest, I only became a monk halfway through. The first time I saw Lan Lan, It was my family's master who brought Lon Lon to our village to find a nanny. My husband died early, and I had no children. My in-laws didn't treat me well, and instead treated me as a burden. Coincidentally, the old master saved me from my mother-in-law's stick and provided me with such a job to support myself. I've been working with him for almost a year now. During this time, I didn't dare to ask the old master, and the old master never mentioned Lanlan's background. Lon Lon said that her mother told her that she would come back to find her, but I don't know if it's true. After all, Lon Lon is still young. How could she remember anything? Sometimes, I'm also very curious. What kind of cruel parents would not want such a cute daughter? Hearing this, Lin Ruashi couldn't help but feel a little jealous, and the way she looked at Lon Lon was especially pitiful. At this moment, Lon Lon had already gotten down from the chair and was leaning against the glass window, looking at the people on the street below. Her pair of black eyes were full of novelty, and no one would know what the little girl was looking at. Lin Ruashi wiped the corner of her eyes and asked, "Minwan, how old is Lon Lon this year? She should be at least 4 years old." Unexpectedly, Minwan's expression suddenly became conflicted. After changing for a while, she smiled stiffly and said, "Miss Lin, just think of it as 4 years old." "Huh? What do you mean treat her as 4 years old?" Lin Ruashi frowned. "Is she 3 years old? That's nothing. Lon Lon has a good appetite, so it's normal for her to be older than other children." Minwan smiled and nodded, as if she agreed. Lin Ruashi felt that it was quite strange, but she didn't think too much about it and continued to ask, "Then, in the future, will Lon Lon be settled in Zhonghai? If so, I can help you contact a good kindergarten because it's not convenient for foreign children to go to school now. I have invested in some good kindergartens, and if I talk to them, they should be very willing to accept Lon Lon." Chapter 908. Minjuan's face turned bitter. "I'm not sure if Master want Lon Lon to stay in Zhonghai. We've been almost half of Huaxia for the past 6 months. I've asked Master if he wants to send Lon Lon to a good kindergarten, but he said he has his own considerations, so I didn't ask." Lin Ruashi said worriedly, "She's so young. It's not good for her growth if she doesn't have a stable place to live. When Lanlan's grandfather comes back, I want to meet him and talk to him. Is that okay?" Minwan was surprised and asked curiously, "Miss Lin, forgive me for being blunt, but why do you care so much about Lon Lon? Lon Lon told me that you were almost killed by those human traffickers when you tried to save Lon Lon." Lin Ruashi was stunned for a moment, and then she was a little confused. "That's right. Why does it feel so natural when I talk about Lon Lon? It's as if it's my concern." This feeling made Lin Ruashi a little excited and a little scared at the same time. "Maybe it's fate that brought us together." Lin Ruashi smiled. Minwan was a little surprised. Then she smiled and said, "Miss Lin, please don't mind me. If you're Lanlan's mother, then Lon Lon will be very happy." Bang, 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 bang. Lin Ruashi could only feel her heart thumping violently. It was as if it was hit by a hammer and bounced back. Lin Ruashi couldn't help but let out a muffled groan. She covered her chest with a pale face. "Miss Lin?" Minwan exclaimed. She didn't know what was going on. Lin Ruashi felt that her heart was beating faster and her brain was starting to hurt. It was as if someone was tearing her brain apart. Countless blurry yet familiar things that seemed real and illusory at the same time were frantically flowing about. She couldn't tell them apart, but she could feel them all. In an instant, Lin Ruashi's thin dress was drenched in cold sweat. "Mom, what's wrong?" Lon Lon suddenly realized something was wrong with Lin Ruashi. She rushed to Lin Ruashi's side and hugged Lin Ruashi's waist. Lin Ruashi's beautiful eyes, which were originally as black as pearls, flickered with all kinds of extremely complicated emotions that even she herself didn't realize. It was like an unpredictable gemstone, flickering with an unfathomable brilliance. Where her eyes fell on Lanlan's innocent face, Lin Ruashi's heartbeat, the pain in her head, and the tightness in her body miraculously subsided. "Lon Lon," Lin Ruashi murmured, as if she was talking in her sleep. Lon Lon looked at Lin Ruashi's eyes, which were gradually calming down, and her face revealed more and more intense emotions. Mom, Mom. At this time, Lin Ruashi gradually woke up. She was a little surprised when she heard the little girl calling her mom. However, Lan Lan didn't have any intention of stopping. She hugged Lin Ruashi's waist and kept talking. Mom, Mom, sister is Mom. Min Wan, the nanny, was shocked. She rushed forward and hugged Lan Lan. Lan Lan, don't call her that. Miss Lin is not Mom. You should call her sister. Lan Lan shook her head and pouted. No, sister is Mom. Lan Lan knows Mom. Lin Ruashi couldn't remember what happened to her. She felt that her mind was filled with a lot of things that she had never experienced before. However, she couldn't remember anything. She only remembered that her heart twitched and then went blank. Looking at the little girl who insisted on calling her mom, Lin Ruashi felt extremely distressed. It was like a needle was pricking her heart. Almost subconsciously, Lin Ruashi lowered her head and held Lanlin's face. Lanlan can call me that if you want. From now on, sister will be Lanlin's mom, okay? This time, it was Min Wan who was shocked. She couldn't imagine how much Lin Ruashi liked Lanlan. She actually agreed to let a little girl who wasn't related to her call her mom. This was not a casual call. If she called her that, her reputation would be completely gone. However, Lin Ruashi didn't have the slightest bit of regret at this moment. When Lan Lan threw herself into her arms happily, hugged the woman's neck, and called out Mom in a sweet voice, Lin Ruashi felt as if she had eaten honey in her heart. Taking a deep breath and smelling the faint milky scent of the little girl, Lin Ruashi couldn't help but think of one thing. If Lan Lan didn't have parents, could she really adopt her? If she adopted this little girl, how would she explain it to Yang Cheng? Would that man be able to accept her bringing a strange little girl home as his daughter before she gave birth to a boy or a girl for him? Thinking of this, Lin Ruashi couldn't help but feel bitter. She had just made up her mind to ignore that stinky man. Why did she think of him when she was so happy? Who cared if he accepted it or not? Anyway, Lan Lan was her daughter. Even though she didn't have much confidence in her heart, Lin Ruashi revealed a gentle smile and naturally kissed Lan Lan on the cheek. Lanlin's eyes were watery as she whispered, Mom. Lan Lan knew that Mom would come back. Lin Ruashi felt a burst of sadness, but she only nodded, and Mom will not leave Lan Lan in the future. Really? Really? Lin Ruashi said with certainty. Lan Lan pursed her lips, but she held back her tears. She only kissed Lin Ruashi on the cheek. The mother and daughter looked at each other as if they were reuniting after centuries. Lan Lan, Mom will take you to the big shopping mall, okay? You have to walk more after eating, otherwise you won't be able to digest it. Lin Ruashi quickly got into character. Lan Lan nodded, thought for a moment, and said, Mom, Lan Lan wants to buy a panda. Panda? Lin Ruashi was confused. Min Wan, who didn't know what to say, comforted and helplessly said, It's a big toy panda that Lan Lan has taken a fancy to. She asked Master to buy it for her, but that toy bear is imported from Germany, and it's especially big. There's only one in the whole of Zhonghai, and it costs more than 50,000 Huaxia dollars, so she hasn't bought it for Lan Lan. Miss Lin, Lan Lan is still young and ignorant. Don't be angry. Lan Lan is like this because she's too anxious to find Mom. Lin Ruashi nodded and smiled. There's nothing to be angry about. Isn't it just a panda? Mom will buy it for Lan Lan right now. Lan Lan immediately cheered, her little head digging into Lin Ruashi's chest, giggling. Min Wan, on the other hand, was completely speechless. She only felt that if she wasn't dreaming, then the world was really crazy. Min Wan couldn't help but start begging for her master to come back quickly. If this went on, who knew what this mother and daughter pair would do? After Lin Ruashi paid the bill, she held Lanlin's hand and walked out of the shop to their parking lot. Because the panda Lan Lan wanted to buy was in a high-end shopping mall in another area, they had to drive there. Min Wan could only follow behind them, completely out of ideas. All she could do was follow her master's instructions and take good care of Lan Lan. As for safety, Min Wan knew Lanlin's ability. She purely relied on Lan Lan to protect her. When they walked to the empty underground parking lot, Lin Ruashi was about to let Lan Lan get in the car, but Lan Lan suddenly tilted her little head and looked curiously at a thick cement pillar not far away. Lan Lan, what's wrong? Lin Ruashi asked with concern. Lan Lan asked back, Mom, are those uncle and sister Mommy's friends? Uncle and sister? Lin Ruashi looked back in confusion, but she didn't see anyone. Where are they? Lan Lan seemed to understand something. Suddenly her little body flashed, and in the blink of an eye, she had already rushed to the side of the cement pillar more than 20 meters away. Lan Lan pointed at the Caucasian man and woman behind the cement pillar, wearing short-sleeved shirts, shorts, and caps, and asked in a childish voice, Speak. Why do you keep following Mommy? If you don't say it, then you are bad people. If you are bad people, Lan Lan will kill you. These two people were, of course, the members of Sea Eagles sent by Yang Chung to secretly protect Lin Ruashi. Although they already knew from their captain, Molin, that this little girl named Lan Lan was an extremely terrifying child, they didn't expect her to be so amazing. It turned out that they had always been in the little girl's perception, and before they could react, they were seen through by this child. Chapter 909. Lan Lan saw that they were not speaking and pouted. You're really bad people. Grandpa isn't here today, so you're dead. She was about to make a move when Lin Ruashi, who had already understood what was going on, immediately shouted, Lan Lan, don't do it. The two Sea Eagles members immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Master Persephone's reaction was fast enough. Otherwise, with this little girl's speed, the two of them would probably be dead in the blink of an eye, although they were unwilling, who asked them to be humans. Lin Ruashi walked slowly to the two team members, and Lan Lan, who had already stopped, rushed to her mother's side again. She hugged one of Lin Ruashi's legs, looking curiously at what Lin Ruashi was going to do. Lin Ruashi stroked her daughter's soft hair and said to the two Sea Eagles members coldly, You don't have to secretly protect me in the future. Go back and tell him that I don't want to see him again, so he doesn't need to do anything for me. I can't bear it. The two team members were shocked. Madam, you can't say that. His Majesty Pluto never wanted to be separated from you. Yes, if anything happens, we can't escape the blame. Lin Ruashi frowned. If I didn't stop you, you'd be dead just now. Do you want to die again? The male team member gritted his teeth and said, Madam, even if we die, we will do our duty. This time, Lan Lan was not happy. She snorted and said, Mom told you to leave, so leave immediately. If you don't leave, the department store will be closed. If Lan Lan can't buy a panda, you can all die. In the little girl's eyes, human lives were not as valuable as her panda. Lin Ruashi couldn't help but feel a headache coming on. She didn't know why Lanlin's little brain didn't treat human lives as human lives. It seemed that she had to guide her daughter's values in the future. She couldn't be like a certain someone, saying that she wanted to kill whoever she didn't like. Thinking of this, Lin Ruashi suddenly felt that the rascal Yang Chung and Lan Lan looked more like father and daughter. The same gluttonous king, the same killing without hesitation, the same fearlessness and optimism. If he finds out that Lan Lan is like this, he should like her very much, right? Lin Ruashi couldn't help but think that she had forgotten that she had just said that she would never see a certain someone again. The female member of the Sea Eagles frowned. She pulled her teammate and said in Italian, Let's go. If little Lan Lan is here, the madam will be safer than us, right? But let's go back and report to Captain Molin. Then we'll ask His Majesty Pluto to make a decision. The female team member said. The male team member thought about it and agreed. He could only nod his head. After a few sprints, he disappeared from the underground parking lot. Lan Lan giggled and grabbed Lin Ruashi's thigh. She said coquettishly, Mommy, they're gone. Let's go buy a panda. Lin Ruashi bent down and scratched her daughter's nose helplessly. You're so impatient. Let's go sit in the car. The nanny Min Wan, who was watching from the side, could do nothing but smile bitterly. 5 minutes later, Yang Chung, who was sitting on the lawn with Jane in a daze and drinking beer, received a new situation report from Molin. After listening to what happened, Yang Chung thought for a while and said, That little girl named Lan Lan, can you find out her background? This Your Majesty Pluto, I'm really sorry. We can't find any information about Lan Lan and her grandfather. We can only confirm that the nanny Xiaomin Wan is an ordinary village woman. Yang Cheng narrowed his eyes and began to think. In fact, Yang Cheng had seen the child before. After the incident with the human snake bandit, he was especially curious about the child. But because she wasn't an enemy and she didn't appear again, he didn't ask anyone to investigate. Now that she was calling Lin Ruoshi mommy, it was different. With Lin Ruoshi's child-loving personality, it was nothing for her to bring Lan Lan to play with her. But if she even called her mommy, then it was definitely not a normal kind of affection. After all, they had been husband and wife for more than a year and had bumped into each other for so long. They knew each other's little thoughts. Lin Ruoshi was definitely not a woman who would be casually called mommy by a child because she was extremely conservative in her family values. Even if she was angry with him, she wouldn't go so far as to ask another child to call her mommy to provoke her. From Director Cha, he found out that Lan Lan didn't have parents. It was very likely that Lin Ruoshi had decided to adopt the child. It wasn't impossible to adopt the child. Yang Qing also felt that the little girl was very cute. Although he was strong and had extraordinary functions, it just so happened that women couldn't get pregnant until a long time later. So, it was good to adopt a daughter first. Wasn't Guo Xuehua always anxious for a grandson? It just so happened that she had a granddaughter who looked like a doll. The problem was that Lanlin's identity and background couldn't be investigated at all. That child was so strange that he could kill an adult child without batting an eyelid. It wasn't a joke. Yang Cheng felt that he had to take a closer look at the child with his own eyes. Even if Lin Ruoshi definitely didn't want to see him, for her safety, Yang Cheng couldn't care less. He hung up the phone. He stood up from the lawn and stretched. You're leaving? Jane raised her eyes and asked. Yang Cheng smiled helplessly and nodded. It's very relaxing to be with you. Thank you. I'm much better now. How do you plan to solve it? Didn't you say wait? Anyway, I've done everything I can for her. I can't let down a group of people who love me and the people I love just because of her. I can only do my best and listen to her. Yang Cheng sighed. Jane raised her hand and gave the half-finished beer to Yang Cheng. Take it. What? Yang Cheng took it in puzzlement. The royal family doesn't allow the princess to drink beer. It's too unladylike. Then why are you still drinking? Yang Cheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Jane, however, had a matter-of-fact expression. Because I want to drink with you. If you leave, I naturally won't drink. Yang Cheng was speechless. Hearing this woman's extremely flat answer, his heart felt warm. Perhaps, if I hadn't married her, I would have fallen in love with you too. Yang Cheng blurted out in confusion. Jane's delicate body trembled, and then she said indifferently, I don't want to. I feel that being Lin Ruoshi isn't as comfortable as being Jane. That's true. Yang Cheng nodded in agreement. He then turned around and waved his hand, strolling away. When Yang Cheng drove away, Jane was still sitting on the lawn, smiling to herself at the dark sky. Idiot, I haven't said it yet. If I'm your lover, I'll definitely be happier than being Jane. Half an hour later, in the 50th floor of the World Trade Building in the West District of Zhonghai, almost all the mainstream high-end and luxury brands from all over the world were gathered here. Ordinary people might not come here in their entire lives because the main focus here was genuine goods. Therefore, the prices here were a few times more expensive than the same goods outside, or even double. The famous German toy manufacturer Steve's Counter was also in the building. This 100-year-old toy company had even made a golden teddy bear that was sold for 600,000 to 700,000 yuan during its anniversary. It could be said to be a big deal. At this time, the eye-catching mother and daughter, one big and one small, walked out side by side. A few shop assistants were respectfully sending them off. They never thought that there would be such a big customer coming to visit so late at night. The little girl's face was flushed with joy, because the toy panda she had been dreaming of had finally gotten her hands on. It was a 1.5-meter tall fluffy panda made entirely of natural materials, with a pair of sapphires embedded in its eyes. It was extremely heavy and soft. This panda, which was sold for 50,000 yuan, was not expensive for a truly rich person. However, there were too few people who would spend this kind of money to buy a fluffy toy. With Lamlin's figure, she was completely carrying such a panda on her body. It was fortunate that she had great strength, so it would be difficult for a normal child to carry her. The nanny, Min Wan, followed behind. Seeing Lon Lon happily kissing the panda's fat belly, she wanted to laugh, but she couldn't. That was 50,000 yuan. Although ever since she left her hometown and started taking care of Lon Lon, with her master around, 50,000 yuan was still a rather large number for Min Wan. In her hometown, this was enough to build a house and marry a wife. Now, Lin Ruashi was spending 50,000 yuan on a toy for a daughter she had just met. How wasteful was this? Could it be that the rich people in Zhonghai were not only rich, but also stupid? Min Wan thought about this carefully, not daring to show any of it. Lin Ruashi looked at her daughter, who was having so much fun. She was just purely happy. She naturally wouldn't care about this bit of money. Lon Lon likes pandas so much. Can mommy bring Lon Lon to see real pandas next time? Lin Ruashi asked. Lamlin's little head squeezed out from under the panda's belly, and she giggled. Lon Lon has seen many real pandas, but I can't see them in the big city, so Lon Lon wants to buy a panda to sleep with Lon Lon. You've seen a lot? In the zoo? Lin Ruashi asked. Lon Lon shook her head. No, it's on the mountain. Min Wan added. Miss Lin, we've stayed in Chuan province with this master before. Master often brings Lon Lon to the mountains to see all kinds of animals. Lon Lon really likes the pandas in Wulong. Lin Ruashi was slightly stunned. She wanted to know what kind of person Lanlin's grandfather was. Not only did he come and go without a trace, he even brought Lon Lon deep into the mountains to see pandas. Chapter 9:10. Lon Lon. If Mom wants Lon Lon to live with Mom and live together, is Lon Lon willing? Lin Ruashi asked nervously and expectantly. Lon Lon said without hesitation, of course, Lon Lon wants to live with Mom. Lon Lon finally found Mom, and Mom said she won't leave Lon Lon. Really? And when Grandpa comes back, Lon Lon will tell Grandpa that Mom has been found, and then let Grandpa take Lon Lon to find Dad, so that our family can be together. Lon Lon said with a bright smile. Lin Ruashi frowned slightly. She forgot that Lon Lon came to Zhonghai to find her dad. If she really has a dad in Zhonghai, what should she do? The person she likes is Lon Lon, but it doesn't include the dad she has never seen. It seems that all of this can only wait for Lanlin's grandpa to come back and ask him clearly before thinking about it in detail. Lon Lon suddenly thought of something. She hugged the panda and clung to Lin Ruashi's thigh and asked, why isn't Mom with Dad? Don't Mom and Dad sleep together? Lin Ruashi's pretty face blushed. This child still knows to sleep with Mom and Dad? Mom doesn't know where Dad is. Lin Ruashi had to deal with it casually. Lon Lon widened her eyes and was full of doubts. But when she looked down and saw the panda's charmingly naive dark circles, she didn't bother to ask more. When the three of them took the elevator down to the underground parking lot, a young man with a cigarette in his mouth and his hands in his pockets was already leaning against Lin Ruashi's Bentley. He seemed to have been waiting for a while. To be honest, Yang Chung couldn't remember when was the last time he bought cigarettes. He always felt that smoking was not good for the women at home, so he didn't do unnecessary things. After all, he really wasn't addicted. Tonight's situation made Yang Chung unknowingly run to a small shop on the way to buy a pack of cheap cigarettes that he hadn't smoked for a long time. The familiar pungent smell made Yang Chung think faster, and also solved many of the problems he had. He pinched the cigarette, but threw it on the ground and stepped on it. Yang Chung raised his head and smiled at Lin Ruashi, who was staring at him coldly. You came down so quickly, I thought you would walk around more. Yang Chung said casually and looked at the little girl next to Lin Ruashi. Lon Lon was also looking at Yang Chung curiously. The panda was much bigger than the little girl. Now that it was being carried by Lon Lon, it was hard to tell whether the little girl was carrying the panda or the panda was carrying the little girl. Lin Ruashi said coldly, Go away, I don't want to see you. Yang Chung had already expected it, so he didn't respond. Instead, he took a few steps forward and squatted down. He looked at Lon Lon at the same level and asked, Lon Lon, you called her mother, so I'm your mother's husband. Shouldn't you also call me father? Lanlin's big eyes were a little confused. She raised her head and asked, Mother, is this Uncle Father? No. Lin Ruashi immediately rejected. He's a bad guy, 100 times worse than the two people we just met. Lan, let's ignore him. As she said that, Lin Ruashi was about to hold Lanlin's hand and walk to the side of the car. Behind them, the nanny Minwan was stunned. She was a woman with experience, so she could naturally see that these young people were husband and wife. If they didn't love each other deeply, how could they be hurt? However, what made her puzzled was why Yang Chang didn't care that Lin Ruashi had just acknowledged a daughter and still wanted Lan to call him father. Did this couple really need a daughter that badly? Even if you want to adopt a daughter, you should at least discuss it with me. It's one thing to quarrel, but this isn't a joke. How can you make such a big decision alone? Yang Cheng directly blocked in front of Lin Ruashi. Lin Ruashi gritted her teeth angrily and said, I want to make the decision alone. Why should I get your permission to recognize a daughter? Are you really stupid or just pretending? With Lanlin's physical fitness, do you think she's the daughter of an ordinary family? Yang Cheng said frankly, how do you know that Lanlan doesn't have biological parents? Did you get permission from Lanlin's grandfather? Lin Ruashi was so angry that her eyes turned red. Her heart was already broken into pieces. She had just been stitched up by Lanlin's smile, and this person came to anger her again and hit her so bluntly. Minwan heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that this husband was more reliable. That's right. Our master hasn't agreed to it yet. Just because you say Lan is your daughter, it's fine? In the nanny's eyes, her master was like a god, and he didn't even bother to show off to others. Yangqing frowned and said, I'm telling the truth. If Lan was an ordinary girl, you could adopt her even if there were 100 of her. But Lan isn't an ordinary girl, and I have to protect your safety. Bad guy. Lan suddenly cried out and shouted angrily, You made mommy cry. You're a big bad guy. In the eyes of a child, these complicated things were not a problem, but Yang Cheng did make Lin Ruashi cry again. This was the key, and Lan couldn't take it anymore. Yang Cheng was slightly stunned. He could feel that the little girl was really angry, and it wasn't just a normal kind of anger. Was Lin Ruashi really that important in her heart? Lin Ruashi was also a little shocked. She looked at the little girl's red face and was stunned for a moment. Lan didn't care so much and pushed the panda towards Lin Ruashi. Mommy, help Lan hold it. Lin Ruashi subconsciously took it, not knowing what Lan was going to do. Big bad guy, you bullied my mommy. Lan will kill you. As soon as she finished speaking, Lanlin's toes tapped lightly, and her small body flew like a howitzer towards Yang Cheng's chest. Yang Chun was secretly shocked. This speed, this body coordination, this strength, this agility, and this unmistakable murderous aura. This is a 4-year-old girl? Based on physical fitness alone, Yang Cheng estimated that 7 or 8 Sea Eagles members might not be able to resist this girl's attack. If she went through strict training and cultivation, this girl was simply a pocket-sized super lethal weapon. But even so, the young Lan couldn't make Yang Cheng panic at all. He just raised his hand lightly, turned his body behind him, and grabbed Lanlin's little fist. At the same time, he spun and hugged Lanlin's little body in his arms. The attack, which was powerful enough to shatter rocks, did nothing to Yang Chen's body. Lan wasn't paying attention and found herself hugged by the big bad guy. Moreover, the big bad guy was very strong, and she couldn't break free no matter how hard she tried. Wah! Realizing that she was caught, Lan immediately burst into tears. Mom! The big bad guy bullied Lan. Lin Ruashi was about to go crazy. Ignoring her own heartbreak, she scolded in a sweet voice. Yang Cheng, what are you doing? You're getting more and more backward. Why are you bullying a child? Yang Cheng wanted to cry, but no tears came out. You call this bullying a child? Don't you know that if you hit a Sea Eagles member just now, he would have been pierced through the heart? But the world was big, and his wife and child were the most important. Although his wife was in a Cold War, the child wasn't his. All right, little girl, what are you crying for? I'll put you down, okay? Yang Cheng sighed and put Lan down, shaking his head. Minwan, the nanny, was anxious and quickly came up to hug Lon Lon. "Io, little ancestor, are you okay? Didn't your grandfather tell you not to hit people? Are you scared this time? Don't cry, don't cry." As Minwan comforted Lon Lon, she glanced at Yang Chung from time to time in shock. She knew how strong Lanlin's body was. This was the first time that, other than the old master, there was someone who could defend against Lon Lon. Oof. Lon Lon wiped away her tears and turned around with her mouth pouted. She put her hands on her waist and said in a high-spirited manner, "Big bad guy, don't be too happy. If you dare to bully Mom and Lon Lon, when Lanlin's grandfather comes back, Lon Lon will ask Grandpa to beat you to death. Grandpa loves Lon Lon the most. Grandpa is #1 in the world." Why was there #1 in the world? Yang Chung was so angry that he wanted to laugh. He had just met a crazy girl called Luo Xiao Xiao, who said that her father was #2 in the world. Today, Lanlin's grandfather was #1 in the world again? What a coincidence. He hadn't even met the #1 and the #2 in the world, but they seemed to have become enemies. Lin Ruoshi thought of the grandfather she had met before, and he was indeed amazing. She couldn't help but worry that the person would fight with Yang Chung. She squatted down and hugged Lon Lon, saying, "Lon Lon, forget it. Let's not care about this bad guy. Mom will send Lon Lon back to sleep. Okay?" Lon Lon cried and laughed quickly. She immediately clapped her hands and giggled. Okay. Lon Lon wants to go to Mom's house. Sleep with Mom." Chapter 9:11. Minwan heard that Lin Ruoshi wanted to take Lon Lon away, so she quickly said, "Miss Lin, please send us back to our rented place. Even if you really like Lon Lon, you have to wait for Old Master to come back before you can talk about these things." Lon Lon shook her head like a rattle drum. No. Lon Lon wants to sleep with Mommy." Minwan looked helpless and could only look at Lin Ruoshi pleadingly. She was just a housekeeper, and it was not easy for her to take care of such a little Buddha. Although Lin Ruoshi knew that Minwan was not easy to handle, she could not bear to part with this daughter that she had just recognized. Anyway, she did not know when Lanlin's grandfather would come back, so she would just let her be selfish this time. "Minwan, there are many empty rooms in my house, and they are all prepared for guests. You can bring Lon Lon and move in directly. I will get our mother Wong to accompany you to your rented place and bring Lon Lon and some of your daily necessities. That will do, and it will not take much time." Minwan was stunned. That was not what she meant. However, Lin Ruoshi did not intend to listen to Minjuan's rejection. She directly pulled Lon Lon into the car. Yang Chung saw all this and knew that Lin Ruoshi was determined to adopt this girl. Even if the world's most powerful grandfather came back, Lin Ruoshi would probably do her best to fight for her. From the looks of it, adopting Lon Lon was not a big deal. Although the little girl was a little violent, she was also quite cute. Yang Chung felt that it was better to go along with Lin Ruoshi's wishes, lest there were more conflicts. "That's right, our house is quite big. You can move in." Yang Chung chimed in. Lin Ruoshi turned around abruptly and said coldly, "That's not your home. You'd better leave now. I don't want to see you." Yang Chung pretended not to hear anything. He scratched the back of his head and ran to start his BMW. Minwan was speechless. This young couple really cared about everything. They dragged her and Lon Lon to move, and they were still fighting. How messy would it be? Half an hour later, even with Lin Ruoshi's cold words, Yang Chung still followed her back to the western suburbs villas with a thick skin. After getting out of the car, Lon Lon saw the huge mansion and immediately clapped her hands excitedly. "Mom, is Lon Lon going to live here from now on? Does Lon Lon like it?" Lin Ruoshi bent over and asked with a smile. Lon Lon nodded vigorously and ran to the back to pick up her panda from Minjuan's arms. She asked seriously, "Do you like it, Big Bear?" Of course, the panda did not respond, but Lon Lon answered her own question. "You said there's no bamboo to eat? You're already so fat. Don't eat bamboo in the future." Minwan didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Lanlin's naivety. At the same time, her heart was pounding. This Miss Lin was really not from an ordinary family. If Lon Lon became the daughter of this family, she would definitely live a life of luxury. After stopping the car, Yang Chung walked out and said with a smile, "It's already so late. Go back to your room and rest." Why are you still here? Lin Ruoshi questioned coldly. Yang Qing's expression was a little stiff. After being treated so coldly for so long, there would come a time when he couldn't take it anymore. Ruoshi, I'm already back here. You can't possibly chase me out of the house, right? Yang Chung smiled at Shan Shan. Big baddie, get out. Lan Lan doesn't want to live with a big baddie. Before Lin Ruoshi could say anything, Lan Lan had already pouted and rejected. Yang Chung took a deep breath and placed his hands on his waist. Hey, little girl, this is only your first day here, and you're already chasing me, the real owner, away? Why are you even more thick-skinned than me? Lan Lan stuck out her tongue and made a face. Big baddie, if you don't leave, you'll be a mangy dog. Yang Chung was so angry that he was about to stomp his feet. Unfortunately, the other party was a child. He really had nowhere to vent his anger. Go wherever you want. Anyway, you have plenty of lovers outside. Now, there's even a Xiao Qi-Ching waiting for you in the hospital. You can do whatever you want. This isn't your home. Maybe it was in the past, but now, this house and the people here have nothing to do with you. If you don't leave, I'll leave with Lan Lan. Lin Ruoshi didn't have the slightest intention to give in, especially when she mentioned Xiao Qi-Ching's name. She was obviously full of anger. Yang Chung was stunned for a long time. Then he sighed bitterly. Is there really no room for negotiation? Not at all. Yang Chung touched his forehead weakly and smiled bitterly. I know. You're still angry with me. I can wait until you're willing to forgive me. I just want to tell you that Xiao Qi-Ching and I did have a relationship, but there's no other entanglement. I don't know why she insisted on pestering me, but I'll take care of this matter. You don't have to worry about the hospital. Xiao Qi-Ching is not an ordinary woman. She's very dangerous, and I don't want her to hurt you. It's not Xiao Qi-Ching who hurt me, it's you. Lin Ruoshi said straightforwardly. Yang Chung grinned awkwardly, nodded silently, and said, Then I'll be leaving. I'll come back when you're not angry anymore. After saying that, he didn't stay any longer and directly returned to the car, started it, and drove out. Watching the car lights disappear into the night, Lin Ruoshi was slightly lost in thought. She didn't expect Yang Chung to be so straightforward. He didn't say anything or explain anything, and just let him go. Lin Ruoshi was a little not used to it. Her heart was filled with resentment, and also a little sour and reluctant. However, these emotions were covered by her dissatisfaction with the man at this moment. As long as she thought about how he had a relationship with Xiao Qi-Ching in Los Angeles behind her back, and how he purposely hid it from her, saying that it was to help Kristen, Lin Ruoshi felt a much stronger sense of betrayal than before, and it made her hate him to the extreme. Mom, don't cry. Hugging the panda, Lan Lan squeezed Lin Ruoshi's thigh and said softly. Only then did Lin Ruoshi realize that for some reason, her eyes were wet. She hurriedly wiped them away, lowered her head, and smiled at Lan Lan, and said, Mom, don't cry. Let's go into the house. The nanny Minwan watched silently from the side, and didn't say a word until she saw Lin Ruoshi holding Lanlin's little hand and walking to the door of the mansion. She then came back to her senses. She couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Who said that rich people must live comfortably? This Miss Lin seems to have suffered a lot. As a woman, Minwan felt pity for her and couldn't bear to object to living here. When Master comes back, I'll listen to him, the nanny thought. When she returned to the house, the living room was bright, and 3 figures were sitting there waiting. Seeing that Lin Ruoshi had returned home, Mother Wang, Jin Xiu, and Hui Lin, who had returned home some time ago, were all there. After all, it was already midnight, and the concert had already ended. After the concert and the routine celebration dinner, Hui Lin returned home only to find out that Lin Ruoshi and Yang Chung weren't back yet. Because of her strong internal energy, Hui Lin wouldn't be tired after singing for more than 3 hours like other singers, so she accompanied Mother Wang and waited. Sister, why are you back so late? The hospital said that you left early. Hui Lin went forward and asked worriedly. When she went forward, she realized that Lin Ruoshi was holding the hand of a doll that looked like a porcelain figurine, and the doll was carrying a fake panda doll that didn't match her small body. Moreover, a woman in her 30s, who was dressed simply, entered the house as well and smiled shyly at the people in the house. This is... Hui Lin didn't understand. Mother Wang and Junxiu also ran to the door, and when they saw an adult and a child coming back, but Yang Cheng was nowhere to be seen, they were confused. What the little girl said next almost scared the three of them out of their wits. "Mom, who are they?" Mom? Lin Ruoshi? Lin Ruoshi's daughter." Mother Wang staggered and took a step back, and her face turned pale. "Me? Miss, this child." Junxiu and Hui Lin looked at each other, and both of them were shocked. Lin Ruoshi knew that Mother Wang had misunderstood, and she blushed and complained, "Mother Wang, what are you thinking? Lan is..." Lin Ruoshi wanted to say that Lan was going to be adopted, but Lan treated her like a real mother, and it wasn't appropriate to say it in front of her, so she could only say, "Everyone, please sit down, I'll tell you slowly." Under Lin Ruoshi's arrangement, everyone sat down, and Min Wan carried Lan around the house, and Lan was still very curious about the new house. 10 minutes later, Mother Wang and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Lan wasn't their biological daughter, or else things would have gotten out of hand. But when they thought of Lin Ruoshi suddenly saying that she wanted to adopt a daughter, and the other party was a super girl with an unknown background, they all looked troubled. Chapter 9:12. "Sister, will Brother Yang object to this?" Hui Lin asked cautiously. Lin Ruoshi's face turned cold. Does he have the guts to object to this? The three of them had heard about the incident between Yang Cheng and Si Yao Qiqing. They knew that Lin Ruoshi was furious at this moment, so they shook their heads cooperatively. "That's right. He has done so many things to me, so it's only right for him to accommodate me. Besides, don't you think that Lan is very cute? I think she's fated to be with me. I'll treat her like my own daughter." Lin Ruoshi's eyes were filled with motherly tenderness. Mother Wang chuckled. "Really? You're just a girl who has never given birth to a child. Wait until you have your own daughter." "Mother Wang, why are you laughing at me?" Lin Ruoshi protested. Mother Wang smiled and waved her hand. All right. Since you've made up your mind, we have no reason to reject you. It's not a bad thing to have a child at home. Minwan looks like an honest farmer, so it's not a bad idea for her to help me at home. Xiuhua is back in Beijing, and Jinxiu often works part-time. I'm really too busy to take care of such a big house. It's good that she's here. I'll have to trouble you then, Wang Ma. Please help Minwan to move her luggage. Just bring some necessities, and we'll buy the rest after we move in, Lin Ruoshi said. Just like that, the matter was settled. At this moment, Minwan came down from the second floor with Lan in her arms. Lanlin's face was filled with excitement. Even in the middle of the night, she was still full of energy. Even Jinxiu was a little envious. Sister Ruoshi, if you really give birth to a girl in the future, will she be as pretty as Lan? Before Lin Ruoshi could reply, Lan shouted from the stairs, Mom doesn't want a younger sister. Lan wants a younger brother. Everyone was stunned. They were so far away, yet Lan could hear Jinxiu's casual whisper. Lin Ruoshi was a little overwhelmed by this shout. She always felt that giving birth to a child was something very far away from her. Hui Lin frowned. As a martial artist, she knew what it meant. She said, Sister, I think you should discuss this with Brother Yang. Lan is really unusual. I'll get angry if you mention him again, Lin Ruoshi said, pretending to be angry. Hui Lin shook her head and smiled helplessly. Ding dong, ding dong. Just then, the doorbell rang. It was already past 1 o'clock in the morning. The women in the family looked at each other, wondering who would come to their house at this time. Could it be that the son-in-law is back? Mother Wang said happily. It's Grandpa, Lan suddenly shouted in surprise. She jumped down from Minjuan's arms and dashed to the door in the blink of an eye. She tiptoed and pulled the doorknob. Before Lin Ruoshi and the others could react, the door was opened. A middle-aged man with short hair, wearing a striped white shirt with blue lines, stood at the door, smiling at Lan who opened the door. The man looked quite elegant. He was not very handsome, but he didn't lose his masculine beauty. He wore a string of Buddhist beads on his wrist, as if he usually worshipped Buddha. It's really Master, Minwan said in surprise. Although Lin Ruoshi had seen the man's back once, It was her first time seeing him face to face. She stood there in surprise. She didn't expect her grandpa to be so young. Lon Lon was already hugging the man's thigh. She giggled, "Grandpa, you're amazing. You can even find Lon Lon here." The man stroked the little girl's hair dotingly. "You like to run around. If Grandpa couldn't find you, wouldn't I have gotten lost long ago?" "Lon Lon is a good girl. I didn't run around." The little girl lied. "Grandpa is back because you're done?" The man replied, "You can say that." Lon Lon didn't ask further. She raised her head and said, "Grandpa, Lon Lon found Mommy." Min Wan hurriedly ran forward and bowed. "Master, it's like this. You don't have to say it. I know what happened." The man interrupted Min Wan and turned to Lin Ruashi. "You're General Lin from Yulei, right?" Lin Ruashi suddenly remembered something important. She walked up and nodded cautiously. "This Lanlin's grandpa, do you know me? In order to take good care of Lon Lon, I used some tricks. I think I know what happened." The man pursed his lips and smiled. "I'm grateful that you like my granddaughter so much, Chief Lin." Lin Ruashi relaxed a little when she saw that the man was friendly. She knew that this man wasn't an ordinary person. At least, he was like Yang Chung. Both of them came and went without a trace. So, it was inevitable that she wasn't confident. "Lanlin's grandpa, I want to talk to you about something." "No need." The man raised his hand and stopped her. "I know what you want to say, but I can't let you take care of Lon Lon right now." Lin Ruashi was stunned. She didn't expect the man to reject her so directly. Why? Lin Ruashi's expression was a little unnatural. Then she asked, "What do you mean by can't do it right now? Are there any conditions that need to be fulfilled?" Lon Lon was unwilling. She grabbed her grandpa's thigh and said, "Grandpa, Grandpa, Lon Lon wants her mother." The man caressed Lon Lan's head affectionately. Then, using some unknown method, Lon Lon fell into a deep sleep after the caress. "Lon Lon!" Lin Ruashi shouted anxiously. The man carried Lon Lon and passed her to Min Wan. Apparently, it wasn't the first time Min Wan saw the man making Lon Lon fall asleep. "Don't panic. Lon Lon is too energetic. She won't sleep for days. I'm just making her sleep early. Besides, no matter how much she begs, I won't agree to let her live with you," the man said slowly. Hui Lin's eyes were full of shock when she saw this scene from behind. She hurried forward to hold Lin Ruashi's hand. "Sister, don't be too impulsive. This senior's cultivation is unfathomable." Hui Lin couldn't tell what the man's cultivation was. However, she had a feeling that it was beyond the Xiantian realm. Lin Ruashi's heart ached. How could she not know that she couldn't deal with this man? At this moment, she felt wronged. If only Yang Chung was here, although that person was a terrible mess. Thinking about it now, if it wasn't for his unstoppable ability, many things wouldn't have gone so smoothly for him. "Don't panic. I mean no harm." The man smiled warmly. "I've said that I'm grateful. General Lin likes Lon Lon. However, unless General Lin is willing to divorce your husband, Yang Chung, and cut off all ties with him, you can't take care of Lon Lon. She can't be part of your family." The man's words caused the entire family to be stunned once again. Does he mean the problem lies with Yang Chung? Could it be that he is Yang Cheng's enemy? If they were enemies, shouldn't they be looking at them with disdain? The man didn't intend to explain further. He smiled and asked, "How about it? Is General Lin willing to divorce your husband for Lon Lon?" "As far as I know, Yang Chung isn't a loyal man. Maybe General Lin can take this opportunity to consider it." Lin Ruashi was at a loss for a moment. Then, a cold light flashed in her eyes. She said coldly, "No matter how bad my husband is, I won't allow others to criticize him. Besides, no one can force me to leave him except myself." Her determined tone surprised Mother Wang, Jin Xiu, and Hui Lin. She just scolded Yang Chung. Why was she so determined now? The man laughed and said, "General Lin, don't misunderstand. I'm not a bad person who would break up a couple. I'm just curious." Lin Ruashi realized that her words didn't make sense. Why was she defending that guy? She mustn't make the same mistake next time. The man said meaningfully, "Since General Lin can't give up on Yang Chung, then Lon Lon can't be adopted by you. One day, if I think it's possible or I have no other choice, I will hand Lon Lon over to General Lin. If General Lin still likes Lon Lon by then. After that, the man turned around and gestured for Min Wan to leave with him. Lin Ruashi was surprised. She looked at Lon Lon, who was being carried away. Her heart was in a mess, but she couldn't stop them. She wanted to bang her head against the wall. When a man disappeared into the night with Min Wan and Lon Lon, Lin Ruashi suddenly came to her senses. She stomped her feet and said angrily, "Oh no, I forgot to ask where they live. What if Lon Lon cries because she misses me when she wakes up?" Mother Wong sighed and patted Lin Ruashi's shoulder. "Miss, forget it. I think Lon Lon is very optimistic. She'll be fine after crying. Besides, I think there's something fishy going on. Why don't we wait for young master to come back and ask him what's going on? We can't afford to offend him. Don't mention him to me." Lin Ruashi bit her red lips and looked aggrieved. "It's all his fault. He's not enough to make me angry. Even my daughter was taken away because of him. He doesn't even know the reason. He might as well just die outside. Don't come back." After that, Lin Ruashi stomped her feet and ran back into the house angrily. She saw the panda doll that Min Wan had put down by the stairs. She picked it up and went upstairs with it. Mother Wong, Hui Lin, and Jinxiu looked at each other and could only sigh. At the same time, Yang Cheng, who had been chased out by Lin Ruashi, did not go anywhere else. Instead, he returned to the hospital to see Yao Chi-Ching's ward. Yang Cheng had to figure out how this woman had found him, and why did she insist on relying on him. However, when Yang Cheng walked into the ward, although the bedside lamp was on, there was no sign of Si Yao Chi-Ching. Chapter 9:13. It was already midnight, and the entire hospital corridor was empty. The hospital was so big that even if there were nurses on duty, they wouldn't come here unless there was something special. He was wondering if the woman had left on her own, but wasn't her calf injured? Even if it wasn't injured, there was no reason for her to leave in the middle of the night. At this moment, a clang sound came from the bathroom door of the VIP ward. "Aya!" The familiar and numb female voice was heard again. Yang Cheng then realized that she was going to the bathroom. Hearing that something had fallen on the floor, Yang Cheng didn't think much about it and walked over to open the bathroom door. "What are you doing in the middle of the night?" Before he could finish, a louder scream was heard. "Ah, don't look." What came into view was a pair of white, plump, and beautiful legs. Following the curves, there wasn't a single bit of cover. On the upper body, the woman only wore a thin, translucent lemon-colored camisole with a pair of plump and straight peaks. At this moment, Si Yao Chi-Ching was sitting on the floor in a very indecent manner. There were water stains all around her, and a plastic wash basin used by the hospital was upside down on the floor. It was obvious that the wash basin had been knocked over. As for Si Yao Chi-Ching, she was worried that the area between her legs would be exposed, so she cautiously covered it with her hands in front of her body. It was fine if she didn't cover it, but once she did, the two lumps of soft flesh on her chest were squeezed by her arms, and it was particularly eye-catching. "Monster, monster!" Yang Cheng swallowed his saliva and groaned at his heart. "Don't! I asked you to stop looking." Si Yao Chi-Ching's cheeks were red, and she was embarrassed, especially when she saw that Yang Cheng was still swallowing his saliva. It was obvious that he didn't have any good intentions. Yang Cheng's thoughts seemed to go back to a month ago in Los Angeles, America, and that afternoon when he was affectionate with this woman. Looking at her snow-white skin and tender flesh, Yang Cheng recalled the woman's soft and flexible figure. Involuntarily, an evil smile appeared on Yang Cheng's face. "What are you doing? Putting on such a posture? Are you trying to be with me again?" "Nonsense." Si Yao Chi-Ching denied it immediately. "I'm just here to wash up. I'm going to bed. If you don't get out, I'll call for help." Yang Cheng looked puzzled. "Help? Why did he shout for help? Have you forgotten that you just said that you want me to take responsibility for you?" That's because..." Si Yao Chi-Ching shyly pouted her red lips. Being stared at by the man's fiery gaze, no matter how bold she was, she couldn't exert any strength. Looking at the woman's helpless look, Yang Cheng sighed in his heart. Although this woman was ruthless and vicious, she was clearly just a young girl in her early 20s. Her thorny outer shell was just an empty armor for self-protection. The most direct proof was that when she deliberately seduced him, she was charming and charming. But when he really stared at her, without any preparation, she immediately revealed her true colors. If he didn't see that this girl's heart wasn't bad, Yang Cheng wouldn't have let her off again and again. Thinking of this, Yang Cheng slowly approached Xiao Qiqing. Xiao Qiqing subconsciously shrunk back, but this movement pulled her injured calf, causing her eyebrows to immediately knit together. Lightly snorting, Xiao Qiqing's pretty face turned pale. Although he was hit by the car on purpose, the injuries were not fake. Don't come over. Cold sweat faintly flowed from the black hair on her temples. In addition to panic and helplessness, there was also a trace of fear in the woman's eyes. Yang Cheng didn't answer. Instead, he squatted down and directly reached out to grab Xiao Qiqing's soft waist. Without waiting for Xiao Qiqing to react, her soft and delicate body was carried by Yang Cheng on his shoulder. What are you doing? Put me down. Xiao Qiqing's legs couldn't help but sway. Her eyes could only stare at the ground as she shouted. Pa! Yang Cheng slapped the woman's, but that was exposed to the air, and a palm print immediately appeared on her fair butt. You! Xiao Qiqing was ashamed and angry at the same time. This man actually slapped her, but again? When she was in America, she was almost beaten swollen by him. Oh, what? Can't you call a nurse to help you clean your leg? Like this, if you fall here and stand up, won't you fall again? Yang Cheng scolded. I don't need you to care. Put me down. Xiao Qiqing wouldn't say that she was shy and didn't dare to let others see her take off her pants. Yang Cheng ignored her. After grabbing a large towel from the side, he carried the woman back to the ward. You better be obedient and don't move. There's nothing down there. As long as you move your legs, I'll be able to see something interesting. If you really want to tempt me to do something else, I don't mind if you spread your legs, Yang Cheng said with a grin. Xiao Qiqing had already closed her eyes. Her eyelashes couldn't stop trembling. Her small face was flushed, and her expression was somewhat pitiful. She didn't dare to move casually anymore. She originally thought that Yang Cheng was going to put her back on the bed, but she didn't expect that Yang Cheng would actually sit on the edge of the bed and place her on his lap. Xiao Qiqing tightly closed her legs and crawled on Yang Cheng's thigh. She tried her best to clamp her pink and white buttocks together, but she still felt so ashamed that she wanted to die. Hey, what's there to be shy about? Is there anything on your body that I haven't seen before? Xiao Qiqing secretly gritted her teeth and retorted, I've seen everything on your body. Yang Cheng said seriously, so I'm the one who suffered. You should be content. You! Xiao Qiqing was so angry that she almost fainted. If she wasn't afraid of Yang Cheng getting angry, she would have bitten Yang Cheng's thigh. At the same time, he was puzzled. What was he going to do? Could it be that this man wouldn't even let him off when he was injured? Because I destroyed their relationship as husband and wife. You want to take revenge on me? In the midst of her nervousness, the towel in Yang Cheng's hand was wiping the outside of Xiao Qiqing's thigh. His movements couldn't be said to be very gentle, but at least it wasn't heavy. In just 2 or 3 moves, he simply dried the water on her thigh. Xiao Qiqing opened her eyes in a daze. She couldn't believe that Yang Cheng was actually helping her wipe her body. Following that, Yang Cheng also wiped the woman's pair of beautiful feet clean. Xiao Qiqing's toes were also especially soft and plump like her body. The flesh was very textured, causing Yang Cheng to be unable to help but pinch a few times. Ugh! Xiao Qiqing was stimulated, her delicate face flushed red, and her beautiful eyes were actually a little intoxicated. Yang Cheng was stunned and said with a smile, So your feet are still sensitive. I didn't notice it last time. It's a pity that I don't have a foot fetish. It's a bit of a pity. Who cares if you don't or not? Xiao Qiqing said with a lack of confidence. Yang Cheng casually smiled and asked, Where's your underwear? Or are you saying that you don't wear underwear? You're the one who doesn't wear underwear. Pervert. Xiao Qiqing angrily pointed at the bathroom. It's over there where I hang my clothes. Yang Cheng nodded his head, and after putting Xiao Qiqing back on the bed, he went to the bathroom and took out the white lace underwear and threw it to Xiao Qiqing and said, Quickly put it on. I'll treat your leg after you're done. Xiao Qi-Ching was slightly stunned, and then quietly responded. Pulling the blanket over, Xiao Qi-Ching carefully put on the underwear, and then pursed her lips and said to Yang Cheng, "Are you really going to treat me?" "Of course." Yang Cheng unceremoniously lifted the blanket and moved the smooth calf to his thigh. Because of the collision, there was a large bruise on the calf, and it looked like a flawless work of art had been destroyed. "You're quite a woman to be able to put on a show and make yourself look like this," sighed Yang Cheng, and it was hard to tell if he was praising or mocking her. Xiao Qi-Ching turned her head away and said, "Anyone who has been tortured by thousands of toxins for more than 10 years would be cruel to themselves." Yang Cheng chuckled, and one of his hands gently touched Xiao Qi-Ching's red and swollen calf. The endless resolve restoration scripture had been converted into the heaven and earth restoration energy, but the healing and recovery effects had only increased exponentially. Even though Xiao Qi-Ching would have needed half a month to recuperate, it was healed in the blink of an eye. Xiao Qi-Ching watched as the muscles and skin of her calf healed at a speed visible to the naked eye, and she couldn't help but open her mouth wide, and the expression on her face was extremely adorable. Once he was done, Yang Cheng placed the woman's calf on the bed and said, "Feel it and see if it's healed." Xiao Qi-Ching obediently did as she was told. She stood up from the bed, took a few steps, and then nodded seriously. "It's really healed. What kind of cultivation technique are you practicing? Why haven't I heard of any cultivation technique with such powerful healing abilities? You even helped me suppress the 9 Yin meridians last time. Such a powerful cultivation technique should be very famous. Are you the descendant of an ancient immortal?" Yang Cheng was stunned. This woman knew about ancient immortals? He only knew about them when he was at the Tang sect. "I don't think so." Xiao Qi-Ching answered her own question. "If you're the descendant of an ancient immortal, why would you marry an ordinary woman and go to work like an ordinary person?" Yang Cheng furrowed his brows. "This woman can't be from a hidden family, can she? But she doesn't have any cultivation, and she's poisoned. How could she be from such a powerful family?" Xiao Qi-Ching didn't seem to realize anything. After she sat down again, she timidly asked, "Yang Cheng, can I ask you a question?" Yang Cheng couldn't help but chuckle. "You've asked enough. You're answering your own questions." Xiao Qi-Ching smiled sheepishly, and then a complicated look of worry flashed in her eyes. "Don't you hate me?"